Chapter 4367. Well said. Zhang Daoran and Sun Kong also clapped their hands and said, "Let's make an agreement here. After we survive here, we will go with Taoist Master Xiao to Gusu clan to ask for her hand in marriage." "Thank you, uncles." Gusu Chodi's face blushed and she replied in a low voice. Boom! As she spoke, more than 10 demon clouds flew out from the 5-colored halo in the distance. 5 demon generals led thousands of demon soldiers and surrounded them with weapons. Alas, Sun Kong sighed and said, "We originally wanted to sneak in quietly and find a chance to rescue Xiaohua. Who would have thought that not only did the Immortal Palace's Xianhuang token intercept us halfway, but even Bai Qingyu's Demon King was prepared. This trip is really a dead end. Even if it's a dead end, we still have to give it a try." Zhang Daoran looked at the demon generals flying over and said word by word, "Seeing that Taoist Master Xiao is in trouble, if we don't give it a try, how can we be at ease? Kill!" Sun Kong Shangren roared and slapped the top of his head. A beam of light gushed out and landed in midair. Then Sun Kong Shangren's body flashed with a green brilliance. His nascent soul Dharma body had expanded to 1,000 feet in just a moment. Ooh! Sun Kong opened his mouth again, and his magic treasure soared into the sky. The shrill sound of wind whistling came from the magic treasure, and wind blades sharper than flying swords shrouded the space of 1,000 feet. Then Sun Kong's nascent soul avatar flew up and formed seals with his hands, and the wind blades attacked a demon general flying over. Upon seeing Venerable Sun Kong reveal his nascent soul Dharma body, the demon general also let out a loud roar and the 5-colored light around his body began to sway like ripples. Within the light, several hundred pillars of light that were invisible to the naked eye fell from the sky. Muffled booms continuously rang out nearby as the demon general's body began to swell. In just a short moment he was already over 1,000 feet in size. Exalted Master Sun Kong's wind blades crossed the vast sky and enveloped the space around the fiend general. The power of the domain and the wind blades seemed to have cut through space. However, when the wind blades fell on the demon general's halo, ka-ka-ka, sounds suddenly rang out. The halo was cut and annihilated under the power of the domain, but under the halo, the demon general's hard shell only had white scratches. It couldn't cause any substantial damage to the demon general. Haha. Seeing this, the demon general couldn't help but laugh. Humans are just blood-eating ears. Kill. While speaking, the demon general's shell suddenly opened, and a dazzling brilliance rushed out like the sun. The space imprisoned by Sun Kong instantly collapsed under the brilliance, and where the brilliance landed, the wind blades were cut and neatly cut into several pieces. The brilliance produced a boundless suction force sucking the wind blades. Damn it, what is this 5-colored brilliance? Why is it so powerful? Sun Kong was shocked and quickly activated Heaven Howl again. The treasure let out a powerful roar and yellow light came out of all the holes at the same time. When the threads of light fell into the air, they strangely twisted together. Mysterious creatures as thin as mosquitoes swam around the threads of light. Ooh! Waves of ghostly wails and howls came from the void. Strands of the world's origin energy that had condensed into crystal threads appeared like a spider web and landed on the threads of light. The space within hundreds of meters shook. A red and yellow hurricane broke through everything like a dragon. It carried the arrogance of Sun Kong as it roared and pounced at the demon general. The demon general was shocked and didn't dare to be negligent. He quickly shrank his demon body and the halo of the shell quickly flapped to protect his demon body. In just a few seconds, there was a loud bang and the red and yellow tornado had already arrived before the demon general. It hit the 5-colored shell. The moment the 5-colored light was hit, it turned into thumb-sized vortexes. Each vortex had a suction force and each vortex had 5-colored light piercing into the air. Sun Kong Shangren had already used all his strength in this attack. Although the demon general's innate ability was powerful, under the hurricane, the tens of millions of vortexes all collapsed. Every ray of light turned into fireflies. When all the halos were annihilated, there was a crisp sound, and the demon general's shell was actually smashed into pieces. The demon general didn't dare to continue fighting. The demon cloud below him quickly formed, and he was about to escape into the distance. Where do you think you're going? Sun Kong was overjoyed and let out a roar. His nascent soul body turned into wind and heaven hell smashed toward the demon general like thunder. Sun Kong, be careful. Just at this moment, Gusuchoti's shocked voice echoed. Sun Kong was startled, but he didn't dare to be negligent and quickly retreated. Swoosh! It was also at this moment that the dozen or so shells that had been shattered by Sun Kong suddenly flew into the air, heading straight for Sun Kong's chest. When he saw the shell shards streaking through the air, fine spatial cracks appeared, and the sharp shards even touched his protective light. The light was sliced apart like silk. Sun Kong was shocked. Venerable Master Sun Kong hurriedly activated the power of his domain, wanting to seal the space around him. However, the power of his domain turned into nothing when it landed on the five-colored center of the halo. Not good. Exalted Sun Kong hurriedly teleported, but he was still too late. Puff! Puff! Several muffled sounds were heard as the three shell fragments broke through Exalted Sun Kong's defenses and stabbed into his body. 3 streams of blood immediately spewed out. Weak human. The demon general sneered and no longer tried to compete with Sun Kong. The demon general quickly rotated and the five-colored light smashed into Sun Kong's nascent soul body. Damn it! Sun Kong hurriedly circulated his quintessential essence in an attempt to repair the injuries on his body. However, the five-colored halo was extremely strange. His quintessential essence was either absorbed or destroyed by the halo. Sun Kong was unable to repair it at all. Exalted Sun Kong cursed in his heart when he saw the demon general attacking once more, and he hurriedly utilized the wind movement technique to dodge. Since Sun Kong was the first to attack, Zhang Daoran naturally wouldn't be any slower. Just as Sun Kong used Heaven Howl, Sun Kong also used Drifting Snow. At this moment, there were already snowflakes falling from the horizon. Drifting snow rushed into the air, immediately enveloping the space within a radius of a few miles. The traces of ice were like spatial cracks as they rapidly attacked the demon general opposite of them. Wherever the ice crack passed, all the snow particles shook. In an instant, they turned into fist-sized ice balls that smashed towards the demon general from all directions. Wisps of green-white light rotated within the ice balls. Each ice ball would emit a strange whistling sound as it cut through the sky. Zhang Daoran's opponent was a giant rock. The giant rock let out a long cry and spread its wings. A shadow that was hundreds of feet large immediately appeared. The giant rock coldly looked at the ice and snow that filled the sky. Demonic light flashed around its body and more beams of light fell between its wings. A shadow that was hundreds of feet large surged out of the giant rock's body. Boom! 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 The great rock's demonic body rushed into the ice and snow space. As it flapped its wings, the ice balls were smashed into powder. Every time the ice balls exploded, the spinning halos would produce a violent force. However, the explosion of these ice balls only destroyed a trace of the giant rock's shadow. When the giant rock broke through all the ice and shattered the countless ice cracks, the giant rock had already flown above Zhang Daoran's head. The giant rock let out a sinister laugh. Its sharp claws that were dozens of feet long slashed down. Under the claws, the giant rock sealed the space within several hundred feet. Not only did the ice and snow disappear, but even the protective light around Zhang Daoran's body was about to be extinguished. Sigh. Zhang Daoran sighed. The giant rock in front of him had the strength of a 6th-grade origin energy. Moreover, the demonic race's demonic body was tyrannical. Using strength to break through techniques was never a lie. Zhang Daoran's techniques couldn't defeat the giant rock, and he was at an absolute disadvantage in close combat. In just a short exchange, he was already forced to the edge of life and death. Zhang Daoran sighed and slapped the top of his head. A layer of greenish-white emerged from the surface of his body. Ancient talismans appeared on the greenish-white layer, following which the space around Zhang Daoran was immediately covered by a layer of solid ice. Ooh! Just as the layer of ice formed, an ice pillar that was several feet long shot out from the top of Zhang Daoran's head. This ice pillar shot straight into the sky. Wherever the ice pillar passed, the space was frozen. The space that the giant rock sealed also cracked and shattered inch by inch. Gotcha! The ice pillar collided with the giant rock's claws. Under the great force, the ice pillar also collapsed. However, the ice pillar only collapsed by a few feet. Zhang Daoran spat out another mouthful of blood. Wang! The ice pillar trembled and crazily rolled upwards. Not only did it freeze the giant rock's claws, it also spread towards the giant rock's abdomen. Aha, human, you've been tricked. The giant rock didn't panic at all. Instead, he laughed maniacally, following which, the giant rock opened his mouth. Whoop! A beam of greenish-red fire swept out crazily. In an instant, it covered Zhang Daren's entire body. Furthermore, the giant rock's feathers also surged with threads of fire. In a few breaths' time, the ice pillar that was sealing him was melted. Damn it! Zhang Daoran could feel the scorching threads of fire surging into his body. He cursed furiously. He didn't dare to fight anymore. His figure flashed rapidly. He wanted to teleport out of the sea of fire. However, after he channeled his powers, his body also shook a few times. The space around him was actually sealed tightly by the giant rock. Zhang Daoran couldn't escape. When Zhang Daoran summoned drifting snow, Zhai Xingzi's gaze was like lightning. He swept across another demon who was also looking at him. Their gazes collided in midair. It was as if sparks were flying. Zhai Xingzi didn't turn back. He only instructed plainly, your injuries haven't healed. Why don't you hold the fort for the three of us? Alright. Gusu Chodi knew that it wasn't a good time for her to fight. She smiled and said, this time, I'll be a little lazy. Chapter 4368. Okay. As Zhai Xingzi spoke, starlight surged around his body. Countless beams of starlight and moonlight descended from the sky and landed on his body. At this moment, star symbols appeared on the surface of Zhai Xingzi's body. It was like a star map that protected his body. Gusu Chodi retreated slightly and raised his hand. The shoot the moon bow was already in his hand. He activated his true chi and beams of chi rushed into the shoot the moon bow. A cold moon arrow that was a few feet long was slowly formed. Rumble! Zhai Xingzi flew out, and the demon summoned his demon cloud to meet him. Zhai Xingzi waved his hand, and the star fragment appeared. The space within a few miles immediately darkened. The stars on the star fragment activated the power of the stars and moon, sealing the space. The brilliance of the stars was like a sword, piercing towards the demon. This monster was short and fat. There was a horn that was 3 inches long on top of his head. The wings on his back were also only a few feet long. The monster saw that the space around him was sealed. He activated his monster power but didn't see the beams of starlight and moonlight descend. He had a bad feeling in his heart. Seeing the light of the stars and moon piercing towards him, the monster let out an angry roar. He waved his claws in the air and the space around him was torn apart like silk. The space shattered and the light of the stars and moon was naturally distorted. Most of the light scattered. However, when the light pierced through the shattered space and pierced the monster's body, his body was immediately cut open. Strands of monster blood flowed out. Roar! The monster was furious. A grayish-black monster cloud appeared around him. The monster cloud crazily surged and rushed towards the starlight. The brilliance of the stars and the moon was like a sword, piercing through the demonic cloud. At this moment, the demon's horn began to ripple again. As the ripples fell into the air, faint ripples began to spread in all directions in the void. Zhai Xingzi frowned. He had a bad feeling. Fall? Zhai Xingzi formed a seal and pointed at the falling stars in the sky. As he chanted, stars appeared from the falling stars. They shook the space and smashed towards the monster. Although it was only a few thousand feet away, the star grew from a very small size to a very large one. When it landed on top of the demon clan's head, it created a huge commotion, as if it was really falling from the sky. Seeing the several thousand feet large star smashing into the space and distorting it, the monster suddenly roared. Boom boom boom. The space within 1,000 feet suddenly churned and collapsed. Waves of black and white light surged out from the cracks in space. However, none of this could stop the star from falling. The brilliance of the star pierced through space and smashed onto the head of the demon. Just as the demon was about to turn into ashes, the figure of the demon suddenly twisted and even folded. Zhai Xingzi was shocked and shouted, "Oh no!" Then, his figure suddenly retreated. Sure enough, just as his figure disappeared, a 3-inch long horn appeared at his illusory figure. In an instant, it shattered the space dozens of feet around him. A spatial divine ability. Zhai Xingzi's mouth was filled with bitterness as he called out to himself. This monster actually has a spatial divine ability. Damn it, I's star shatter is used to confine space and kill the enemy with the power of the stars and moon. Now how can it be used? Sun Kong Shangren, be careful. At this moment Gusuchodi, who was at the back, hurriedly reminded Sun Kong Shangren. When she turned her head to look at Zhai Xingzi, she hurriedly shouted, "Husband, please step aside and watch me kill this monster." "It's all right, your husband can still hold on." How could Zhai Xingzi bear to let Gusuchodi take action? After replying, he raised his hand and a huge hand formed by the brilliance of the stars and moon grabbed towards the demon clan. With just this strength, you actually dare to come to my 1,000 demons sacred realm and behave so atrociously? That demon sneered. He didn't use any other divine ability at all. Instead, he rushed up into the sky, and that horn of his collided with the star-moon hand. Boom! A strange wave, coupled with the sharp horn, caused Zhai Xingzi's hand to crumble instantly. Damn it! Zhai Xingzi, Sun Kong Shangren, and Zhang Daoran roared furiously at the same time. They were existences with fifth-grade origin energy on the hidden immortal continent. When had they ever been defeated like this? However, when they came to Bai Qingyu, a mere patrolling demon general was able to force them into a disadvantageous position. How could they possibly rescue Xiao Hua, who was suppressed by the Demon King? Vile spawn. Since you're already here, why aren't you bowing down and being captured? Behind them a faint voice sounded. Gusuchodi was startled. She hurriedly turned her head and saw dozens of clouds surging out from the horizon. The assassins of the Bound of Universe were chasing after them like maggots. Husband, could it be that we've reached a dead end? Facing such a desperate situation, Gusuchodi was distressed. She raised her head and looked in Bai Qingyu's direction. We haven't even seen Daoist Zhao's face yet. Ha ha ha. In the distance, Bai Qingyu and Demon King Bai Qing laughed. The group of demon race also saw it clearly through the light screen. They all clapped their hands and laughed. Beat the drums and cheer. Following Bai Qing's shout, dong dong dong. Another battle drum beat sounded, shaking the surroundings. Seniors, don't be anxious. Juniors will come to help you. Amidst the battle drums, a wave of battle cries sounded from another direction. More than 10,000 human cultivators activated their escape lights and swept across the mountains like black clouds, pouncing towards Bai Qingyu. A nascent soul cultivator at the front scanned them with his divine sense and immediately shouted, "Xiong! Xiong Yi?" Sun Kong Shangren was stunned at first, then he was overjoyed. He laughed and said, Daoist Xiao indeed hit something. The disciples of the Black Wind Ridge are all here. Just these 10,000 Black Wind Ridge disciples are already the strongest force of our Dao sect, right? Sigh. What a pity. Zhang Daoran was not happy. Instead he sighed and said, even if there are more than 10,000 disciples, they're just moths flying into a flame. Not a single disciple will be able to return to the hidden immortal continent. Zhai Xingzi's expression also changed. He could only say, what a pity. On the other hand, Gusuchodi's eyes lit up. She shouted, how sad. How righteous. Good. Ha ha ha. Qingyu's banquet has finally begun. The demon general who had just fought with the 3 human cultivators laughed loudly. He raised the weapon in his hand and shouted, Boy of Shrouding Sky Ridge, Ancient Bell Mountain, Qingbi Qingyu, listen to my command, kill. Just as the word kill fell, a wave of battle cries came from the mountains, ridges, and rivers in front of the Fortune Gate's disciples. 5 colored lights flickered as several thousand demonic beasts of various colors revealed themselves, brandishing their weapons as they charged towards the Fortune Gate's disciples like a tidal wave. Seeing that they were close, Xiongyi's face revealed a murderous glint. He opened his mouth and a silver-white sword pillar flew out. The sword pillar instantly split into 10, and like spirit stones, they pierced towards the 10 demons in front of him. The 10 demonic beasts were also in the lower 4th grade. Facing the sword light, they sneered and did not dodge. They smashed the demonic beasts in their hands towards Xiong Yi. Pew pew pew. Almost at the same time, the silver-white sword light pierced through the demonic armor on the 10 demonic beasts. It even pierced through their bodies that had been tempered for a long time. The 10 demonic beasts did not even have the chance to scream before they died on the spot. Xiongyi did not stop. He made a hand seal and the sword light pillar shot towards the other demonic beasts. Damn it! In a few breaths' time, Xiongyi had killed more than a dozen demonic beasts. A demonic beast general roared and opened his mouth. A pillar of demonic light shot towards Xiongyi. Seeing the demonic light was like water, majestic, Xiongyi had no choice but to abandon his demonic beasts and fight the demonic beast general with his sword pillar. At this time, Prince Lan had no time to think about anything else. He also activated his magic treasure to kill the demonic beast general, while dodging the demonic beast general's attack. In the air several hundred li away, more than 10,000 Fortune Gate's disciples were also engaged in a fierce battle with several thousand demonic beast clans. Brilliant lights flashed, and demonic chi soared to the sky. Miserable screams, the sounds of magic treasures colliding, and the sound of corpses falling to the ground filled the air. Ha 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 ha. Such a tragic scene was like child's play in the eyes of the three beast kings and the group of greater demons. They raised their wine cups and shouted, "What a feast, what a feast! Our trip here was not in vain. Cheers, let's continue to cheer." Kill. Zhai Xingzi sighed when he saw the Fortune Gate disciples fighting the demonic beasts. He did not even look at where the Xianhuang Order assassins came from. He waved his star shatter and continued to fight the demonic beast general. Haha. At this time, another heroic voice sounded from another direction. Several thousand short demonic beasts emerged from the ground. It was Yingpe and his fellow tribesmen. Yingpe shouted, "How can I miss out on such a grand occasion? Even if we can't save Daoist Xiao, we will spill our blood on the way to save him." "Good men, good demonic beasts," Gusuchodi shouted. "If I can survive today, I will definitely befriend you." "That's right. Such men are Daoist Zhao's best friends." Zhai Xingzi laughed. His star shatter flashed as he fought the demonic beast general again. "Crazy, crazy, all of them are crazy." The assassins of the Xianhuang Order flew closer. When they saw such a huge battle, they could not help but be stunned. After all, they were humans. Although they wanted to kill Zhai Xingzi and the others, they could not kill humans from behind. Dong dong dong. Another wave of drumming sounded. More demonic beast soldiers flew over from other places to fight against the continuous merchant union's demonic beast soldiers. The demonic beasts were invigorated by the drumming, and their battle cries were endless. After half a cup of tea's time, the blood of the humans and demonic beasts had dyed the ground red. Beast King Bai Qing was still not satisfied. He looked at the situation on the light screen and waved his hand. He stood up and shouted, "Brothers, please wait a moment. This old man will show them some more exciting things." "Okay, we will wait and see." An Quan and Peng Jun were puzzled. They replied as they watched Bai Qing disappear into the Heavenly Dam water prison. Boom! In just a moment, demonic light burst out from the mountain peak of the Heavenly Dam water prison. A pillar of fire shot up into the sky. When the pillar of fire pierced through the sky, another struggling human head was suppressed under the pillar of fire. Chapter 4369. Ha ha ha, good good good. When An Quan and Peng Jun saw this, how could they not know that Bai Qing had projected the scene of Xiao Hua being suppressed from the Heavenly Dam water prison to provoke the human cultivators? As they clapped their hands, they carefully released their spiritual sense, especially Peng Jun. His eyes scanned the surrounding space as if he was waiting for someone's arrival. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! The fire pillar rushed into the sky and covered the entire Bai Qingyu. Not to mention Xiongyi and the other Fortune Gate disciples. Even Zhai Xingzi and Zhang Daoran felt sad. Everyone roared in unison, and their morale soared. The entire human race's morale soared as they charged towards the demonic beasts without any regard for their lives. However, when more than half of the demons were killed, the human cultivators had only pushed forward for more than 100 miles. Boom boom boom. The five-colored brilliance shone brightly again, and many demon clouds rose again. Hundreds of thousands of demon soldiers and demon generals rushed out, covering the sky and covering the earth, and counterattacking the human cultivators. Moreover, behind these demonic beast soldiers and generals, there were hundreds of thousands of demonic beast soldiers holding demonic artifacts, standing guard in the distance. At this time, Zhai Xingzi, Sun Kong, and Zhang Daoran were already injured. Gusu Chodi's moon shooting bow had already shot twice, and after killing two demonic beast generals, she no longer had any power to kill. Seeing that there were more than 10 demonic beast generals with 6th grade essence force sneered and surrounded them, Zhai Xingzi looked at Gusuqiodi and said, "Qiu, we finally saw Daoist Xiao. Although we can't save him, we have no regrets." However, before Zhai Xingzi could finish his words, another strange phenomenon appeared behind the human cultivators. Zhai Xingzi, Zhang Daoran, and the others were curious and couldn't help but release their spiritual sense. When they saw it clearly, their eyes were filled with shock. They looked at each other and exclaimed, How is this possible? Good heavens! The snowflakes on Jade Mountain are as big as a mat, and they are falling onto the drum stage." A somewhat sour voice reverberated in the gloomy sky. In that voice, snowflakes the size of a thumb fell. The source of the voice was an arrogant python dragon. The python dragon did not move its body to fly. Instead, it coiled in the air and raised its head to look at the sky covered by dark clouds as it roared loudly. This python dragon was obviously transformed from Xiaohua. He had followed Shui Mingzi, Ao Zhantian, and the others to Bai Qingyu. Along the way, he had clearly heard their voice transmissions, and he couldn't help but be deeply moved by the changes in people's hearts. Unfortunately, he had still underestimated his influence on the hidden immortal continent's Dao Gate, and he had also underestimated the Stream Merchant Union's ability. He was completely unaware of the efforts the Stream Merchant Union, Fortune Gate, Ao Sheng, Ao Zhan, Zhai Xingzi, and the others had put in to rescue the so-called Xiaohua. He was even more unaware that Fairy Jing, who he thought was eager for quick success, had already sacrificed her life for him. At this moment, Xiaohua looked at the sky. The gloomy sky seemed to make him unhappy. He couldn't help but recite a poem. When the nearby Dao Gate's cultivators heard this, they couldn't help but cover their mouths and laugh. Although they were somewhat disdainful of this python dragon's pretentiousness, this flood dragon's divine ability made them revere it. However, after being together for so long, they also felt that this python dragon had no other shortcomings other than its arrogance and bad temper. At this moment, one of the cultivators couldn't help but remind Ao, "Fellow immortal Aoe, why don't you take a look? This snowflake is not the size of a straw mat. Could it be that the straw mats in your hometown are like this?" Ha ha ha. Xiaohua laughed heartily. As he laughed, all the snow within a radius of 300 meters was shaken into powder. Immediately after, Xiaohua opened his mouth and spat out a stream of demonic qi. In the sky, a thin piece of ice that was several meters in size appeared and slowly drifted down with the wind. "This old man knows that you are jealous of this old man's talent and the nobility of my dragon race." Xiaohua raised his hand and pointed. "Do you see? This is a snowflake as big as a straw mat." Then what about the drum beating platform? That cultivator saw that Xiaohua wasn't angry and asked again. Clang clang. Xiaohua coughed twice. The python dragon's voice was like thunder. Xiaohua laughed again and said, "Look, this is..." Without waiting for Xiaohua to finish speaking, dong dong dong. In the sky, the sound of drums faintly rang out. Layers of clouds were formed in the dense dark clouds that were previously covered by the drums. They rapidly rippled from afar and covered the entire sky in a short moment. The snowflakes floating in the air were also shattered by the drum beats. When the clouds moved, the drum beats stopped and large snowflakes really began to drift down. This is already the Bai Qingyu territory. Ao Zhantian's expression turned serious and he turned to ask Shui Mingzi. Shui Mingzi smiled and nodded. "That's right. This place has already entered the Bai Qingyu demon realm." "Good." Ao Zhantian took a deep breath as he swept his gaze across all the Dao sect cultivators nearby. In the end, his gaze landed on Shui Mingzi's face, and he said word by word, "Shui Mingzi, I'm sure you've already told the other fellow Daoists what you told me earlier, right?" A trace of embarrassment flashed across Shui Mingzi's eyes. However, he immediately nodded and said, "That's right. That's good." Ao Zhantian raised his hand and lifted his Daoist robe. With a wave of his hand, the corner of the robe fluttered in the wind. "Ever since the Jade Pavilion meeting, I have always treated fellow Shui as my best friend. This time, when I received news of Daoist Zhao's death, I immediately contacted fellow Shui. From the hidden immortal continent to the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm, from the North Sea to Bai Qingyu, I thank fellow Shui for leading the way. I also thank fellow Shui for accompanying me in killing demonic beasts. At the same time, I also thank fellow Shui for not stabbing me in the back. Fellow Taoist Ao, what do you mean by this? Shui Mingzi sneered. His gaze followed the fluttering corner of the robe and became even more confused. He muttered, "Are you cutting off your relationship with me? It's nothing. People who walk different paths cannot make plans together." Ao Zhantian said proudly, "This time, I came to Bai Qingyu to save Taoist Xiao. I have no interest in Taoist Zhao's disciple and your blood oath. Since we are already here, there is no longer any intention to cooperate between us. Since everyone is suspicious of each other, we might as well separate. I don't care why you want to save Taoist Xiao. As long as you can save him, I will definitely not stop you. However, if you want to do anything to Taoist Xiao, then don't blame me for being impolite." After saying that, Ao Zhantian flew several hundred meters into the sky. He turned his head and shouted, "Is there anyone else who is not willing to wallow in the mire with Shui Mingzi and is willing to die for Taoist Xiao with me?" Ao Zhantian's sudden commotion caused the Taoist cultivators to look at each other. Just as Ao Zhantian had said, Shui Mingzi had been observing everyone's expressions along the way, and had transmitted his voice to every cultivator at the right time. Most of the Taoist cultivators were hot-blooded men. When they heard that Taoist Xiao was in trouble, they all rubbed their palms together and came to his rescue. However, after entering the Thousand Demons' sacred realm, under the countless difficulties and trials of life and death, their hot-bloodedness and impulsiveness had long been obliterated. All that was left was the interrogation of their conscience. This kind of interrogation was something that no cultivation method had ever done. Not to mention the cultivators, even Ao Zhantian had countless thoughts along the way. He was like a fence-sitter. One moment he was here, the next moment he was there. One moment he felt that he should be Xiao Hua. The next moment, he felt that Shui Mingzi was right. It was only now that he truly recognized his own heart and saw his own path. Ao Zhantian had seen it clearly. What about the other Taoist cultivators? After half a cup of tea's time, not a single cultivator stepped out from the crowd. Xiao Hua's heart grew colder. I'm willing." Just as Ao Zhantian sighed and was about to leave, Su Tingzi gritted his teeth and flew out from the crowd. Su Tingzi was an extremely thoughtful person. When he helped Xiao Hua on the Yaotai Mountain, he had thought about it several times before taking action. After leaving the Yaotai Mountain, Xiao Hua wanted him to join the Fortune Gate like Xiong Yi. However, he hesitated and refused in the end. It was the same this time. He thought about it for a long time, and when he saw that Ao Zhantian was about to leave, he couldn't help but step out from the crowd. Good. Ao Zhantian was overjoyed. He clapped his hands and laughed. Although there are many Taoist cultivators in the world, there might not be many who are worthy of Taoist Zhao's attention. There's no need for too many who are waiting for Taoist Xiao. Just one of them is enough. After saying that, Ao Zhantian seemed to have thought of something, and he turned to Xiao Hua, who was watching the show from afar, and cupped his fists. "Fellow Taoist Ao, although what I said was true, there's a possibility that dragons will come to Bai Qingyu. However, there's something I didn't say. Bai Qingyu is a place of death. There's almost no chance for dragons to come. Moreover, there's no turning back if you go forward. Please, roar." Xiao Hua was instantly enraged when he heard this. His entire python body stretched out in midair as he roared at Ao Zhantian, "Motherfucker, you actually dared to lie to me? Did you use me to protect you?" Ao Zhantian smiled bitterly. "Although I didn't lie to you, my true meaning is more or less the same. Fellow Taoist, if you go forward, you won't be able to turn back. I'm already prepared to die. Therefore, fellow Taoist, please turn back." Damn it, damn it, damn it. Xiao Hua cursed angrily as he looked at the fearless Ao Zhantian. His python body stopped in the air, as if he wanted to kill Ao Zhantian. However, he seemed to feel that it wasn't worth it and didn't know what to do. At this moment, Shui Mingzi raised his hand and waved. The remaining cultivators moved and surrounded Su Tingzi. Shui Mingzi then flew in front of Ao Zhantian. Ao Zhantian wasn't surprised by Shui Mingzi's actions. He sneered. "Shui Mingzi, you finally couldn't hold back? Actually, I've been guessing on the way here when you would attack me. However, this is all you've got. It didn't exceed my expectations." Chapter 4370. At this point, Ao Zhantian suddenly came to a realization. He looked to the left and slapped his forehead. Could it be that this is Bai Qingyu? You don't need to be wary anymore? Are you going to attack me again? Could it be that you also attacked Taoist Master Xiao back then? Shui Mingzi's expression changed slightly. How could I attack Taoist Master Xiao? When he was training in the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm, he offended Monster Monarch Bai Qingyu and was captured by her. Ha 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 ha. Ao Zhantian laughed loudly. He pointed at the group of nascent soul cultivators and said, "Look at this sanctimonious thing." If he didn't say this, I could only guess. However, based on his words, I can conclude that Taoist Master Xiao was harmed by him. Shui Mingzi was shocked. He seemed to have thought of something. However, he immediately sneered. Xiao Hua's matter has nothing to do with me. I also want to save him. However, I don't want to save him for nothing. I just want him to return the blood oath we made. Shui Mingzi, oh Shui Mingzi, don't forget. Ao Zhantian decided to get straight to the point. You invited me to the Thousand Beasts Sacred Realm's ancient Bell Mountain to participate in some kind of event. I didn't agree. After that, I went to visit Taoist Master Xiao and invited him to participate in the Dragon Island training with me. At that time, I asked Taoist Master Xiao if you invited him. Taoist Master Xiao said that you invited him and he agreed. If that's the case, didn't Taoist Master Xiao come to the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm to participate in the ancient Bell Mountains event? If it weren't for your selfishness, how could he have been betrayed? Ao Zhantian, you're talking nonsense. Shui Mingzi said angrily. Xiao Hua didn't come at all. I only thought of using the ancient Bell Mountain's power after hearing that he was suppressed by Monster Monarch Bai Qingyu. Ao Zhantian smiled mysteriously. His gaze moved from Shui Mingzi to the nascent soul cultivators surrounding Su Tingzi. He said meaningfully, if you didn't set Taoist Master Xiao up, what are you doing right now? Do you need to kill me just to take control of Taoist Xiao's forces? Ao Zhantian's words were extremely heart-wrenching, and Shui Mingzi was instantly forced out of his heart. Setting aside everyone else, even Xiao Hua couldn't help but blame Shui Mingzi for the little white dragon's imprisonment. He knew very well that he hadn't come to the Thousand Beasts Sacred Realm to participate in any grand event, but even he couldn't help but blame Shui Mingzi for the little white dragon's imprisonment. At this moment, Ao Zhantian added fuel to the fire by asking, "Oh, and where is Taoist Xian Ping's nascent soul? Does he know about your background and have something on you that he can use against you?" That day in front of Yizhao Ridge, he directly called you Shui Mingzi. Now that his nascent soul is nowhere to be seen, did you kill it? Venomous slander. Shui Mingzi couldn't help but fly into a rage. What does this have to do with me? Before he could even finish his sentence, a beam of light shot out from Ao Zhantian's Taoist robes and slashed towards Shui Mingzi's waist. Wasn't that Ao Zhantian's scythe magic treasure? Damn it! Shui Mingzi was caught off guard. His body flashed and he teleported into the distance. Whoosh! A shadow was sliced into two by the scythe. Ao Zhantian took advantage of Shui Mingzi's evasion and roared, "Let's see who dares to block my path." Then, he waved his Taoist robes and charged toward Bai Qingyu. Su Tingzi, who was feeling a little regretful, didn't have any way of turning back. He urged his body to escape with Ao Zhantian. Dong dong dong. At this moment, like the sound of war drums being beaten 3 times, the sound of muffled thunder came from the sky. This time, the sound of the drum was different from the previous one. It reverberated at a low altitude, and wherever the sound of the drum passed, some demonic formations were activated. An indescribable power of the stars and moon also rushed out from the void and landed in all directions. Boom! A clear sound rang out from the ground not far from Ao Zhantian. Several shadows as large as the north of the sea rushed out. These shadows were immensely powerful, and they enveloped an area of 10,000 feet in front of Ao Zhantian. Ao Zhantian didn't dare to be careless. He hurriedly stopped and dodged. Just as he was dodging, Shui Mingzi raised his hand and slapped it. A 5-colored beast's skin fell from his hand. Dozens of tiny pillars of light descended from the sky and landed on the demonic runes on the beast's skin. Thin 5-colored patterns slowly appeared on Shui Mingzi's body. Shui Mingzi activated his body and teleported in front of Ao Zhantian. Bai Qingyu's demonic formations instantly disappeared, when they came into contact with the 5 colored patterns on Shui Mingzi's body. Since fellow Taoist Ao doesn't want to accept a toast, then I have no choice. Shui Mingzi seemed to have a card up his sleeve. He raised his hand and took out his horsetail whisk. Under the activation of his magic power, the horsetail whisk actually shone with 5 colored light. As he waved it, the demonic formations that had been activated earlier seemed to be lifted by the horsetail whisk. Dozens of demonic lights surged out from the ground and enveloped an area of 10 kilometers around Ao Zhantian like a fountain. Normally, it's a dog who bullies its master. But now it's a dog who bullies its master. What can I do? Ao Zhantian snorted coldly. He raised his hand and slapped the top of his head. The blood-colored dragon avatar gradually emerged from his body. Roar. Just as the dragon avatar raised its head and was about to roar, a dragon roar several times louder than his rang out from another direction. Ah! Ao Zhantian was stunned. The dragon avatar extended to several thousand feet in length and looked toward the source of the dragon roar. In the sky between the layers of colorful clouds, a dozen or so enormous dragon bodies flew over with auspicious auras. The dragon aura that could drown a person surged toward them like a tidal wave. Ao Sheng? Ao Zhantian couldn't help but tremble when he saw the dragon body that was at least 10,000 feet in length, and the golden crown on the dragon's forehead. He's really here? Ao Sheng wasn't the only one. Ao Zhan's black dragon body also appeared behind Ao Sheng. The other dragons that were protecting Ao Zhan also caught up from behind. Damn it! Shui Mingzi didn't know who Ao Sheng was, but when he heard Ao Zhantian's exclamation and recalled that Ao Zhantian had mentioned Ao Sheng to the python dragon, how could he not know that he was in trouble? He cursed angrily and hurriedly took out another beast hide from his robes. Then he spat a mouthful of blood essence onto it. The beast hide ignited on its own and instantly transformed into the projection of a winged beast. It turned into a white line and flew into the depths of Bai Qingyu. Roar! Ao Zhantian's dragon avatar also raised its head and roared, trying to attract Ao Sheng's attention. Xiao Hua, who was beside him, laughed loudly in his heart. Dragon tribe, it really is the dragon tribe. Cough cough, I've finally seen a true dragon tribe member today. Unfortunately, regardless of whether it was Ao Zhantian, Su Tingzi, Shui Mingzi, or the group of human cultivators, no one had the time to pay attention to this python dragon who was waiting for the arrival of the dragon tribe. Roar! Ao Sheng clearly heard Ao Zhantian's call. He swept his vital sense over and his dragon body flew in their direction. However, Ao Sheng's dragon roar contained a trace of warning. When Ao Zhantian sensed that something was amiss and took a closer look at Ao Sheng and the other dragon tribe members, he couldn't help but turn pale with fright. This was because even though Ao Sheng's body was flashing with golden light, the dragon armor under the golden light was already slightly damaged. The dragon scales that covered the dragon armor were either shattered or bleeding profusely. There were even claw marks that were several dozen feet in size on some parts of his body. Holy fuck, it can't be! Xiao Hua exclaimed in shock. A dragon tribe member can also be injured in the Thousand Beasts Sacred Realm? Immortal friend Ao, this is the dragon tribe you were talking about? Why does it look like they're inferior to me? Could it be that my bloodline is better than the dragon tribes? Before Ao Zhantian could reply, the sound of a bugle horn rang out from the depths of Bai Qingyu. Numerous demonic clouds emerged from the foothills and surged toward them. Above the demonic clouds, numerous star-stage demon generals stood proudly. Behind them, several hundred demon soldiers wielded their weapons and charged over. Ao Zhantian, why are you here? Ao Sheng yelled before he even got close. Ao Zhantian didn't say much. He only raised his voice and said, I came to Bai Qingyu to rescue Xiao Hua, Taoist priest Xiao Hua. These dozen or so Taoist sect cultivators all have distracting thoughts. And this out-of-body Taoist priest Xiao is the main culprit behind Taoist priest Zhao's misfortune. Ao Zhantian's words were truly timely. Ao Sheng didn't hesitate at all. He let out a loud roar and spat out a mouthful of dragon's breath. A majestic aura that numbed the bones of the Taoist sect cultivators fell from the sky. Ao Zhantian's dragon blood dharma body was the only one who managed to block the dragon's aura. The dozen or so human cultivators, including Su Tingzi, tried their best to resist the dragon's aura with their magic power. but they were still unable to stabilize themselves in midair. The light around their bodies scattered, and they fell from the sky. They couldn't even gather their true essence. On the other hand, Shui Mingzi's body flashed with 5-colored light. He transformed into a shadow and flew toward Bai Qingyu's demon generals. Kill! Aoshang didn't care about these Taoist sect cultivators at all. He let out a furious roar, and the golden light around his body shone brightly. In an instant he covered a distance of dozens of miles. He opened his dragon claws and swiped at Shui Mingzi. Moreover, the heavenly dragon speech technique was unleashed from the dragon's mouth. Above the heads of the Taoist sect cultivators, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth within 100 miles surged violently. Clusters of flames appeared and rained down on the Taoist sect cultivators. Wherever the flames touched, the space was scorched and distorted. The Taoist cloud that soared into the sky was also burned to ashes. A dozen or so weaker Taoist soldiers were engulfed by the flames and fell from the sky while howling. Boom boom. Seeing how powerful the flames were, the Taoist generals on the Taoist cloud didn't dare to be careless. They hurriedly circulated their Taoist qi, and streaks of 5-colored light soared into the sky. The 5-colored light was indeed powerful. The flames unleashed by the heavenly dragon speech technique were destroyed by the 5-colored light. However, Aoshang, Aozhan, and the rest of the dragon tribe cultivators were already close to the Taoist sect cultivators. Aoshang's dragon claws were already descending. While Shui Mingzi was shocked, he had already taken out his horsetail whisk. Tens of thousands of light strands flew up to meet the attack. Unfortunately, the light strands were easily grabbed by Aoshang's dragon claws. As the light strands turned into sand and fell to the ground, Shui Mingzi's horsetail whisk also let out a sizzling sound. The strands of light strands that were refined from an unknown material were already flying away. Chapter 4371. Let's go. Shui Mingzi didn't dare to delay. He hurriedly channeled his magic power and tried to teleport away. However, in front of a dragon, a human's teleportation was powerless. Shui Mingzi only flew a few feet before the space around him solidified. Shui Mingzi could no longer fly forward. He had no choice but to reveal himself in the space. Then he saw Aoshang's deformed dragon head. The murderous dragon claw was already in front of him. Damn you, Aozhantian! Shui Mingzi knew that Aoshang wanted to kill him because of Aozhantian's words. Although he was in the out-of-aperture realm, he was still helpless in front of a dragon's powerful body. Shui Mingzi quickly flipped his hand and took out a 5-colored shell the size of a thumb. With a squeeze of his fingers, the shell was crushed. Wang! A glaring 5-colored light appeared. Once it appeared, it immediately turned into a shell that was hundreds of feet wide and blocked Aoshang's dragon claw. Clang! A metallic sound rang out. Aoshang's dragon claw was blocked, and the shell was shattered into pieces. However, Shui Mingzi took advantage of this gap to teleport 1,000 feet away. Damn it! Aoshang's murderous intent rose. 1,000 feet was nothing in his eyes. He swung his dragon body again and his dragon tail that was hundreds of feet long smashed towards Shui Mingzi. Aozhan and the other dragon generals didn't stand idly by as Aoshang chased after Shui Mingzi. They ignored the human cultivators and released their dragon's might and dragon's breath towards Bai Qingyu's demon generals and soldiers. In just a few moments, half of the demon soldiers summoned by Shui Mingzi were killed by Aozhan and the others. 4 of the demon generals were killed as well. The entire area was covered in blood and flesh. The group of numb human cultivators were a little dumbfounded. The fighting methods of the monster race were different from that of the human race. Most of the time it was a fight of flesh against flesh, a collision of blood against blood. How could there be so many dazzling spells? Seeing Aoshang's huge dragon tail coming down, Shui Mingzi felt that the whole world was filled with dragon scales and dragon breath. No matter what spell he cast, it was as powerless as raindrops when it landed on the tough dragon body. He couldn't help but feel sad. He even thought of the funny boa dragon along the way, the one who claimed to have the blood of the dragon race. Just as Shui Mingzi's heart was about to give up, a familiar voice sounded in his ears. Where did this shameless dragon come from? How dare you bully the weak? Ancestor, save the boy. Despite Shui Mingzi's thousands of years of age, when he heard this voice, he actually shamelessly called himself a boy and asked for help. Above Shui Mingzi's head, the space distorted, and the phantom of a flying feather void beast appeared in a space 1,000 feet wide. Before the phantom of the flying feather void beast could fully materialize, the flying feather void beast also swung its tail, and the distortion of space actually rushed out with its tail. Boom! It was as if the space within a few miles had collapsed. Ao Shang's dragon body tumbled a few times in the air before coming to a stop. Ao Shang's eyes flashed with horror and he shouted, "Where did this thing come from? How dare you block me?" The collapse of space also destroyed most of the phantom. It wasn't until Ao Shang came to a stop that the phantom became solid again. A sun-devouring realm great demon appeared from the phantom with a slightly angry face and coldly looked at Ao Shang. The great demon glanced at Ao Shang and the wings on his back flapped. Dozens of pillars of starlight and moonlight fell, creating layers of distorted space fluctuations that blocked Ao Zhan and the other dragon generals. Then he glanced at Shui Mingzi, Ao Zhantian, and the other humans before his gaze finally landed on Ao Shang. He asked coldly, "Who are you? How dare you block me?" "Of course I am." Ao Shang was furious. Just as he was about to reveal his identity, he seemed to have thought of something and shouted, "I am the Dragon General of Dragon Island. Are you Bai Qingyu's great demon? Hurry up and release Xiao Hua, or I will order the other dragon generals to trample Bai Qingyu." Ha ha ha. The great demon laughed and pointed his claws at Ao Shang. "You dare to say you are the Dragon General of Dragon Island? Don't you know that the Dragon Island's envoy has already been here? He doesn't care about my affairs at all. What right do you have to criticize me?" "What? The Dragon Island's envoy has already been here? How is this possible?" Ao Shang was shocked. "Seems like you are also pretending to be a dragon of Dragon Island. Let me capture you first." The great demon sneered and spread his wings. His body became extremely distorted again and he pounced at Ao Shang. "Who dares to hurt a minor elder of Dragon Island?" The dragon generals who were protecting Ao Shang were anxious. They roared and abandoned the group of demon generals and pounced at the great demon. Ao Zhan at the side shouted, "Ao Shang, let's not waste time with him. Let's rush in first." Ao Shang nodded and rushed toward Bai Qingyu, while the dragon generals were blocking the great demon. Ao Shang knew that he was no match for this great demon. These dragon generals could only hold on for a few breaths. As long as he rushed into Bai Qingyu and saw Monster Monarch Bai Qingyu, he might be able to persuade her to let Xiao Hua go with his identity as a minor elder of Dragon Island. Boom boom boom. Just when Ao Shang was a few thousand feet away, he heard a series of explosions. The great demon had already sent a few dragon generals flying. These dragon generals' flesh was torn open, and it was obvious that their injuries were not light. However, when the great demon saw Ao Shang and Ao Zhan flying away, he did not chase after them. Instead, he looked coldly at Ao Zhantian and Su Tingzi with killing intent. Facing the great demon's gaze, Ao Zhantian was shocked. His dragon blood dharma body was trembling. It was as if he would be killed by the great demon if he did not make a move. Roar roar. Right at this moment, a few more dragon roars that were even louder erupted in the sky in front of Ao Zhantian. Dong dong dong. A third set of drum beats sounded, and a few dozen sun-devouring stage dragons flew out from the drum beats and dragon roars, surrounding Ao Shang, Ao Zhan, and the other dragons in the center. Where are you from?" Ao Shang's heart skipped a beat when he saw dozens of unfamiliar dragons surrounding him. "Hey, you are just a minor elder of Dragon Island. How could you know us dragons?" A colorful dragon at the front said with a sinister smile, "Since you know that I am a minor elder of Dragon Island, how dare you be so rude?" Ao Shang shouted, "Aren't you afraid of Dragon Island's dragon law?" "Dragon law? What is dragon law?" The dragon laughed. "We are not under Dragon Island. How would we know about dragon law? Besides, you are just a minor elder of Dragon Island. In the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm, you are just a little dragon who can pluck the moon. We can kill you if we want." At this moment, the great demon from ancient Bell Mountain behind Ao Shang snorted coldly, "Brother Jiang, don't you think you have said too much? Damn it." The colorful dragon roared, "Who told you to tell me why I am here? I have already promised to kill Ao Shang. I will not go back on my word. Even now you still want to sow discord? Aozhan stopped behind Aoshang and said indifferently, "Which one of us are you going to let go of? You better say it now. I will tell him that you are dragons of heavenly abode river." The great demon was stunned when he heard Aozhan expose his painstakingly planned plan to sow discord. However, he quickly sneered. "Since all of you are already here, don't even think about turning back. You were the one who captured Taoist Xiao?" Aozhantian suddenly asked loudly. The great demon coldly glanced at him and said, "You have no right to know. What if it was me?" Aoshang stared at the great demon and asked, "Do I have the right?" Even Aozhan asked, "Since we have no chance of survival, why don't you tell us the truth so that we can die in peace?" "Haha, although this has nothing to do with me, why should I tell you?" The spirit creature laughed out loud, looked at the dozens of dragons and yelled, "The banquet is about to begin, and our king has been urging us to serve the dishes. Let's hurry up and kill these human beings and dragons, make them into delicacies and send them to our king, shall we? If we are too late, the other demon generals will kill the disciples of Soaring Dragon Mountain Range first and serve them to our king. Won't we lose the merit? All right." The rainbow dragon opened his mouth and shouted, "Just thinking about the small elders of Dragon Island dying in front of me makes me excited." Just as the demonic beasts were about to make their move, boom. However, there was another loud explosion in the sky above the demonic beasts. A towering pillar of fire shot out from the ground in the distance, piercing high into the dark clouds. An imposing aura that made all the demonic beasts prostrate themselves before spread out in all directions in a domineering manner. The great demon was slightly stunned. However, when the pillar of fire pierced into the sky, the dark clouds did not dissipate. Even the snowflakes that were as big as a mat were not melted by the pillar of fire. Instead, they were still floating freely in the pillar of fire. The great demon couldn't help but laugh. "Haha, I understand now. This is the image of the heavenly dam water prison that suppressed Xiao Hua. Human cultivators, take a look. Is Xiao Hua the one you want to save under the pillar of fire?" There was no need for the great demon to say anything else. Although the image formed by the pillar of fire appeared to be far away, it was extremely close. Not only were the flame patterns on the pillar of fire clearly visible, even the small white dragon suppressed at the bottom of the pillar of fire could be seen clearly. Roar! Aoshang let out a furious roar. The golden light around his dragon body flashed rapidly, and he pounced toward the pillar of light. He shouted, "Damned by Qingyu! How dare you humiliate the Dragon Master of Dragon Island? I'm going to kill you all. Haha, the face of your dragon tribe is meant to be trampled on." The colorful dragon laughed loudly. His dragon tail, which was even thicker than Aoshang's body, swept through the air and smashed toward Aoshang. "Kill!" The great demon also issued a cold command. Bai Qingyu's demon soldiers and generals did not dare to hesitate. They all controlled their demon clouds and prepared to pounce toward Aozhantian and the other human cultivators. Chapter 43-72. Haha, haha, ha ha. Right at this moment, a burst of soft laughter sounded from behind the humans and dragons. This laughter was filled with profound meaning, mockery, and sorrow. As soon as this laughter rang out, the space within a radius of 500 kilometers began to freeze, and even the falling snowflakes seemed to have sensed the chilling intent behind the laughter as they froze in midair. "Who's there?" The great beast and rainbow dragon were greatly alarmed as they quickly swept their vital senses through the air. Boom! Wherever their vital senses passed, they were blocked by a mountainous being. When their eyes landed on the python dragon that Xiao Hua had transformed into, they were greeted by the sight of him slowly flying toward them. "Oh, fellow immortal Ao?" Aozhantian, Shui Mingzi, and even Su Tingzi were all dumbfounded. They didn't expect that the boa dragon that liked to curry favor with people of culture still hadn't left. Moreover, it had appeared at such a critical moment. Moreover, the boa dragon's strength was actually so terrifying. The great beast's cultivation base was far superior to Aozhantian's, and he hurriedly asked upon sensing that something was amiss. Unfortunately, without waiting for him to finish speaking, Wang, within 1,000 feet of the python dragon, a whirlwind that soared into the sky was born. Within this whirlwind, the python dragon's body slowly shrank, and Xiao Hua's tall and thin figure was revealed little by little. Xiao Hua? Aozhan was truly astonished. He looked at Xiao Hua's frosty face with incredulity, then at the little white dragon's face that had been suppressed by the pillar of flames. There was no difference between these two faces. When Aozhan's gaze returned to him, he was greeted by an incredulous scene. Boom! Xiao Hua, who had reverted to his human form, suddenly emanated a Taoist might. This might climbed steadily, but it didn't spread into the distance. Moments later, the space within a radius of close to 10 kilometers began to cave in, and layers of twisted light projections began to appear around Xiao Hua's body, making it appear as if Xiao Hua's body wasn't very real. Within this light projection, the ferocious ferocity of tens of thousands of people surged into the hearts of the humans and demons like a tidal wave. Not to mention the humankind and the humankind, even the lofty dragons couldn't help but tremble. Their bodies, which had been extremely arrogant before, were forced to shrink slowly. A Mahayana cultivator? Aozhantian's expression changed drastically. Say, who are you, senior? You are not Taoist Master Xiao. At the same time, Aozhantian suddenly came to his senses. Without any hesitation, he knelt on the ground and said anxiously, Junior Aozhantian begs Senior to save Xiao Hua. He is one of the few people in this world with a heart of steel and a heart of chivalry. Just as Aozhantian's body knelt down, an incomparably gentle force emerged. Even though he was a 5th-grade elemental energy cultivator, he didn't have any ability to resist and could only stand up with the force of this force. Xiao Hua didn't look at Aozhantian. Instead, he stared coldly at the great demon and the rainbow dragon. Didn't you want to kill Xiao Hua? Now that I'm here, I'd like to see how you're going to kill him. While speaking, Xiao Hua waved his 2 hands, and 2 large hands appeared out of thin air, grabbing at the great demon and the colorful dragon at the same time. Under the giant hands, the space within a radius of 100 kilometers was sealed. Both the great demon and the colorful dragon were startled. The 2 great demon immediately activated their divine abilities in an attempt to escape. The great demon's wings flapped rapidly, causing ripples to appear in the nearby space. Black and white light scuttled out from the ripples. Unfortunately, before his figure could even move, Xiao Hua's giant hand had already descended. The great demon hurriedly opened his mouth again, and several crimson-red demonic lights rushed out in an attempt to block the giant hand. The demonic lights immediately collapsed upon colliding with the giant hands. Even the great demon's tail struck the giant hands. However, the countless divine abilities were nothing more than a bluff in the face of the giant hands. The giant hands closed, and the 7th-grade great demon swallowing sun was caught in Xiao Hua's hands. Looking at Xiao Hua's other hand, the colorful dragon's horns shot out beams of light. Its dragon chi spat out from its mouth, and its claws that could tear through space were all unable to stop the giant hands for even a second. The great demon, who was several times stronger than the great demon race, was caught by Xiao Hua's giant hands just like grabbing a small snake. If you dare to touch me, my clan's divine ancestor will definitely not forgive you. The great demon screamed hysterically, and his voice was filled with fear. Xiao Hua sneered. A green light flashed between his eyebrows, and dozens of soul strands instantly pierced into the great demon's forehead. The great demon's screams immediately disappeared, and his entire body twitched violently, appearing to be in great pain. Damn it! The colorful dragon was shocked. How could he not know that Xiao Hua was soul-searching? He cursed angrily, and the colorful light around his body flourished. However, the colorful light merely flickered for a moment before extinguishing. At the same time, his dragon body was also twitching in the giant hands. Seeing this, Aozhan was shocked, because Xiao Hua was soul-searching 2 great demons at the same time. This was something that Aozhan didn't dare to imagine. Within 1,000 kilometers, it was filled with a strange aura. The snowflakes didn't fly and the wind didn't howl. Only Xiao Hua, who was about 3 meters tall, stood there proudly, as if he was the center of the world. In just a short moment, Xiao Hua's brows furrowed slightly. Then the 2 giant hands moved at the same time. 2 loud sounds rang out at the same time. 2 streaks of blood-red light soared into the sky. The great demon's body and the colorful dragon's body were crushed by Xiao Hua's giant hands. When the giant hands threw down the 2 disfigured corpses, the crowd couldn't help but tremble. They had seen ferocious cultivators, but they had never seen a ferocious person who could crush a dragon's body with his bare hands. At this time Xiaohua was really anxious and furious. With a wave of his hand, the Kunlun mirror appeared out of thin air. As the light beam swayed, the black bear, white lion and golden eagle rushed out. Then, under the crowd's astonishment, the Fortune Gates army of 200,002 lightning boats were released from the Shunhua continent. No one dared to make a sound. After the army of 200,000 was ready, Xiaohua raised his hand and pointed at the fire pillar in the sky. He looked at the black bear and the other two great demons and said, "Do you see this? This Xiao has only been away for 200 years, and my dignity has been trampled on like this. Although Bai Qingyu doesn't have the ability to suppress, she has the intention to suppress. What do you think we should do?" Under the fire pillar, Xiaohua, whom they worshipped like a god, was struggling in pain. Even though they knew that this Xiaohua was not the Xiaohua in front of them, they were still shocked. Whether it was the black bear, the other two great demons, or the hundreds of thousands of Fortune Gates disciples, their eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. The black bear crouched in the air and shouted, "Master, please rest assured. This black bear requests an order from Master. Give black bear 200,000 disciples. This black bear will definitely bathe Bai Qingyu in blood and wash away our shame with the blood of a beast king. Go." Xiaohua waved his hand and ordered, "Bathe Bai Qingyu in blood." "Yes, bathe Bai Qingyu in blood. Bathe Bai Qingyu in blood." The black bear was overjoyed and shouted loudly. The 200,000 disciples drove the lightning boats, and amidst the rumbling of thunder, they rushed towards Bai Qingyu. "Many thanks, senior." Even now, Aoshang and Aozhan still did not dare to recognize Xiaohua as their dragon master. They hurriedly bowed to express their gratitude. Xiaohua smiled faintly and was about to say something when he frowned. His divine sense swept towards the distance, and when he found that his divine sense was blocked, he waved his hand and tens of thousands of disciples flew out from the Kunlun mirror. Xiaohua had no time to explain. He pointed at Aozhantian and said, "This is an old acquaintance of mine, Aozhantian. Listen to his orders." "Yes." The disciple leading the troops did not dare to delay and respectfully answered. Xiaohua then released Yuanya, Daoist Jingting and Xian Songzi. He pointed at Aoshang and said, "Yeah, this is Aoshang. You've seen him before. Help him subdue these dragons. If they dare to resist, kill them all." "Yes, master." Yuanya held the devil spear in his hand, exuding an imposing aura. He acknowledged Xiaohua's order and his gaze fell on the dragons. Before he could do anything, the bone dragon's terrifying aura on the devil's spear had already scared the dragons out of their wits. Xiaohua then pointed in another direction and said, "Xian Songzi, Daoist Jingting, Zhai Xingzi, and the others are there. The two of you are responsible for protecting them." "Yes, yes." Xian Songzi and Jinren Jingting were the first to cultivate scattered nascent souls, but they were different from Xiaohua's 100 or so scattered nascent souls. They had their own consciousness, and Xiaohua didn't dare to use his own method to refine them. Therefore, they didn't spend all their time cultivating in Xiaohua's Dantian, and their progress wasn't as fast as other scattered nascent souls. Even so, as the saying goes, the pavilion closest to the water enjoys the moonlight first. The two scattered nascent souls had already crossed 7 tribulations and reached the mid-level of the 7th grade. At this time, the two of them did not dare to delay after hearing Xiaohua's order. They bowed and rushed in the direction Xiaohua had pointed. Xiaohua's figure was like a rainbow as he soared into the sky. His voice sounded behind him, "After you're done here, go to the fire pillar. We'll all come to Bai Qingyu for the banquet." "Yes, master," Yuanya answered. A group of Fortune Gate disciples had already surrounded the space. This is really Dragon Master Xiaohua." Seeing Yuanya's appearance, Aoshang came to a realization. After all, he had seen Yuanya on the Dragon Island. However, looking at Yuanya's strength of the 7th level of origin power, he really did not dare to believe it. It had only been 200 years. How did they become so strong? All of a sudden Aoshang screamed again. Looking at the little white dragon in pain under the fire pillar, he screamed to Aozhan, "Damn it, I know it now. This is the little white dragon, ah." Others might not know about it, but Aoshang and Aozhan were well aware of it. Back on Dragon Island, Xiaohua, the little white dragon who had just formed his body, and Reverend Yun had fought Long Si and the dimensional monsters with them. Suppressing the little white dragon is no different from suppressing Xiao Hua. Ao Zhan also came to a realization and said coldly, "This Bai Qingyu really deserves to die. It's not just Bai Qingyu who deserves to die. The ancient Bell Mountain also deserves to die." Ao Zhanqian's face turned cold as he looked at Shui Mingzi, who was so regretful that he wanted to dig out his intestines to clean them. Chapter 4373. Although Xiong Yi had led over 10,000 Fortune Gate disciples over, and the Endless Merchant Union had sent over a few thousand demonic beasts to help, they were still too weak. However, in the face of tens of thousands of demon generals and demon soldiers, Zhai Xingzi and the others were still in dire straits. Facing such a hopeless situation, Zhai Xingzi and the others didn't have any regrets. Death was inevitable in a person's life. Even among cultivators, how many could live forever? Death could be as light as a feather or as heavy as a mountain. Whether it was a feather or a mountain, it was the judgment of others. At the end of the day, life and death were still controlled by one's own heart. In the eyes of others, Zhai Xingzi and the others might have died out of blind loyalty or stupidity, but the four of them had no regrets in their hearts. In the face of death, the great Tao seemed incomparably clear. The calmness in their hearts was truly the sail towards the great Tao. However, there was always a way out, and the heavenly Tao wouldn't let down those with a pure heart. Just as Bai Qingyu crazily showed off the image of her suppressing the little white dragon to the sky, Zhai Xingzi and Zhang Daoran saw that the humans were already surrounded by tens of thousands of demonic beasts, and all their efforts were about to turn into flowing water. Just as they were about to die, they saw a towering killing intent rushing towards them from another direction behind them. Streams of heaven and earth origin energy condensed into a complete chi wave and poured down like a tidal wave. This scene was akin to tens of thousands of nascent soul cultivators circulating their magic power at the same time. It wasn't something they had seen before. They couldn't help but be shocked, and their faces turned even paler. Could it be? The two of them thought at the same time. Is this another ambush by Bai Qingyu? Could it be that she thinks that all the Dao Gate cultivators of the hidden immortal mainland will come to save Xiao Hua? As they thought about it, they still released their divine sense. When they saw the tens of thousands of Fortune Gate disciples 1,000 miles away, their eyeballs almost fell to the ground. The two of them looked at each other and cried out, "No, no way, right?" All the nascent soul cultivators of the hidden immortal mainland came to save Xiao Hua. Cho. Zhai Xingzi's voice trembled as he said to Gusu Chodi in surprise, "We were saved." Oh, Gusu Chodi's injuries were extremely severe. She was no longer able to release her divine sense, much less use the eye-clearing technique. She also looked into the distance in shock. Her mouth was slightly agape as she asked curiously, "Could it be that they are our reinforcements?" Phew. Zhai Xingzi took a deep breath and said, "That's right. In order to save Taoist Master Xiao, all the Taoist cultivators in the hidden immortal continent have come. How is this possible?" Gusu Chodi shouted, "Although Taoist Zhao's benevolence is unparalleled in the world, but his charm doesn't seem to be enough to make all the Taoist cultivators of the hidden immortal continent come to his rescue, right?" "That's right. We've all underestimated Taoist Master Xiao." Zhai Xingzi smiled. "If he can show kindness to us, he can naturally show kindness to other cultivators as well. Looks like Gong Shuiexin is really blind. What does this have to do with Gong Shuiexin?" Gusu Chodi pouted and snuggled into Zhai Xingzi's arms. "Looks like we still have time, that's right." Zhai Xingzi hugged Gusu Chodi and looked at his opponent. Those Bai Qingyu demons were also stunned. They all left Zhai Xingzi and the others and flew to other places to check out the situation. Xiao Hua! Xiao Hua! Xiao Hua! Sun Kong Shangren was almost killed by that demon general. At this moment, he had just flown to Zhang Daren's side. He also released his divine sense. Seeing such a magnificent scene, he couldn't help but slap his own thigh. "Damn it, I really admire you. If I knew that you'd be able to convince the entire hidden immortal continent, I wouldn't have risked my life to come and save you." However, after a moment, Sun Kong Shangren was bewildered again. He asked in a low voice, "Brother Daoran, looking at the situation, I'm afraid there are more than 300,000 nascent soul cultivators? Can our hidden immortal continent have so many nascent soul cultivators? That's right. Zhang Daoran was also at a loss. He patted his head and smiled bitterly. I can be considered an out-of-body grandmaster. How can I still be so ignorant? How come I never knew there were so many nascent soul cultivators in the hidden immortal continent? And as Zhang Daoran was talking, he suddenly felt a chill in his heart. He activated his spiritual power, and the snow flew up. Not only did it protect him and Sun Kong Shangren, but it also protected Zhai Xingzi and Gusu Qiudi. Then he turned his head and looked behind him. He said coldly, "What? I just fought with the demon race. Are you going to loot a burning house? Is the Xianhuang token so shameless?" Behind Zhang Daoran and the others, more than 10 Confucian cultivators of the Xianhuang token had quietly surrounded them. The leading Confucian cultivator had already taken out his weapon. Hearing Zhang Daoran's reprimand, the Confucian cultivator smiled and said, We're assassins. We only know how to follow orders." "Damn it!" Sun Kong Shangren cried bitterly. "I didn't die in the hands of the demon race, but now I'm dying in the hands of the human race. I really can't accept this, kill." Seeing that hundreds of thousands of nascent soul cultivators were approaching, the Confucian cultivators of the Xianhuang token did not dare to stay any longer. The leading Confucian cultivator ordered, and more than 10 Confucian cultivators activated their spiritual qi at the same time. Pillars of Aoran qi rushed out of the void. Not only did they fall on the Confucian cultivators, but they also surrounded Zhang Daoran and the others. Zhang Daoran and the others were no match for the Confucian cultivators of the Xianhuang token. Now that they were seriously injured, how could they fight back? Under the Aoran qi, Zhang Daoran's snow was knocked away, and the murderous brilliance approached the fore again. Damn it! At this critical moment, a voice that all four of them were familiar with rang out. Then with a rumble, high up in the sky, layer after layer of lightning suddenly appeared. Then, like the wrath of the gods, it violently poured down, enveloping an area of over 10 miles. The lightning was so ferocious that each strand of lightning was filled with anger. Each strand of light could blind a person's eyes. In the eyes of Zhang Daoran and the others, the almost unstoppable attacks of the Xianhuang token cultivators were instantly turned into nothingness when they touched the thunder. The entire space of more than 10 miles was distorted by the impact of the thunder. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 fifth-grade elemental energy qi refinement cultivators and divine Confucian cultivators were turned into bloodstains amidst the lightning. In this blood fog, the primordial spirits of more than 10 Confucian cultivators had no chance to escape at all. They were all killed by the thunder. Gusu Qiudi was stunned. She was a Confucian cultivator of the middle 5th grade. How could she not know the power of these Confucian cultivators who were close to the 6th grade? But these cultivators were killed in an instant. What was the cultivation of the person who killed them? Xiaohua? Zhai Xingzi looked at the boiling thunder in front of him and thought of the familiar voice from before. It seemed that every thunder had Xiaohua's smiling face. He could not help but cry out, tears flowing out of his eyes. Impossible! Gusu Qiudi and Zhai Xingzi's minds were connected. She shouted first, no matter how powerful Daoist Xiao is, he can only reach the 6th grade in 200 years at most. If this is Xiaohua, then Gong Shuisen should dig out her own eyeballs. At this point, Sun Kong shouted loudly, "Of course it's impossible. Daoist Xiao is still suppressed under the fire pillar." Zhang Daoran and the others hurriedly turned around. Sure enough, the little white dragon under the fire pillar was still struggling. Kill for lousy. At this moment, a hysterical roar came from the distant sky. This Bai Qingyu actually dared to insult Master. Does she even put lousy a black bear guard in her eyes? If I don't flatten Bai Qingyu today, lousy will guard Master's back door. Black bear spirit? Zhang Daoran had never been to Black Wind Ridge, so he naturally did not know about black bears. When he saw the black bear spirit, he exclaimed, Why is it a demon? No. Gusu Qiudi was the most attentive. She laughed and said, Didn't you hear what he said? If she insulted his master, then isn't his master Xiaohua? But Zhai Xingzi frowned even more. This black bear spirit is probably at the 6th grade of essence energy, or even close to the 7th grade, right? How could he guard Xiaohua's back door? Kill, kill, kill. At this moment, beside the black bear spirit, white lion and golden condor also appeared. Each of them had a monstrous aura and covered the ground. They shouted loudly, "Massacre by Qingyu and vent master's anger." How could Xiaohua have 3 demons at the 6th grade of essence energy guarding his abode? Sun Kong was also completely confused. Woo! Just at this moment, a powerful divine sense came from the distance like a hurricane. It wrapped around Sun Kong and the others and immediately stopped. The divine sense didn't withdraw, and it actually completely sealed off the area. Damn it, which senior is this? Feeling the power of the divine sense and the wonder of its use, Zhang Daoran, who was already numb from the shock of surprise, said with a bitter smile, "Is this protecting us, Brother Daoran?" At this moment, a distorted light figure was cast over from afar like the brilliance of a kaleidoscope. When that light figure condensed into a human figure in front of Zhang Daoran, that human figure bowed and saluted. Say, Taoist Master Jingting? Although Zhang Daoran wasn't particularly familiar with Taoist Master Jingting, he always looked familiar. Now that he saw Taoist Master Jingting standing in front of him with a smile, he couldn't help but be bewildered. He cried out in surprise, When did you actually cultivate to the body integration realm?" At this moment, the light shadow behind Taoist Jingting was still swaying and hadn't completely disappeared. The space within 1,000 feet began to ripple. Waves of ripples sprayed out from the space like a fountain. A moment later, another cultivator with an extraordinary bearing appeared from within. "Xian Zhai Xingzi shouted as if he had seen a ghost. "You and this old man made an appointment to attend the Jadestage gathering together at Yaotai Mountain. When this old man didn't see you, I thought something happened to you. How come it's only been 200 years? And you've also cultivated to the body integration realm. What kind of opportunity did you encounter?" Chapter 4374. Greetings, fellow Taoist Zhai Xingzi. Xian Songzi revealed a smile at the corner of his mouth. He withdrew the essence soul restriction that sealed the surroundings of Zhai Xingzi and the others before bowing and saying, "Junior brother Jingting and I have come under master's orders to protect the 4 of you." "Your master?" Sun Kong frowned and asked curiously. "Your master is Grand Mist Ancestor, right? He seems to have an ordinary relationship with us." "Haha." Taoist Jingting laughed and said, "My master." Zhai Xingzi and the others immediately pricked up their ears, wanting to know who Taoist Jingting and Xian Songzi's master was. Unfortunately, Xian Songzi interrupted Taoist Jingting and said with a smile, "Master only ordered us to protect the 4 of you. He didn't tell us to reveal his name." "Alright." Taoist Master Jingting smiled. Of course he knew that Xiaohua didn't care about revealing his name. However, looking at Xiaohua under the fire pillar in the distance, Taoist Master Jingting was also bewildered. He simply followed Xian Songzi's words and said, "In that case, let's wait for Master's orders. It must be Xiaohua." Although Taoist Jingting and Xian Songzi didn't say it, Gusu Chodi said, "Gong Shuisan is going to gouge her eyes out." "Oh, how do you know?" Zhai Xingzi asked in confusion. "There are 3 reasons." Gusu Chodi said with a smile. First, the voice just now was Xiaohua's voice. Second, Taoist Jingting and Xian Songzi can cultivate from nascent soul to body fusion. It's not strange that Xiaohua can cultivate to 9th grade. Third, a woman's intuition. Ha ha ha. Zhai Xingzi hugged his lover and laughed. "If it's really Xiaohua, then I'll invite Taoist Xiao to the Gusu family to propose marriage. I'd like to see who dares to not give face to a Grand Ascension cultivator." Gusu Chodi laughed until her eyes narrowed. She said in a low voice, "Even if it's not Xiaohua, it has a lot to do with Xiaohua. Husband can also ask Xiaohua to invite this senior to the Gusu family. If it's Xiaohua, then..." Zhang Daoran pointed at the little white dragon in the fire pillar and asked, "Who is this?" Xian Songzi took out a pill and handed it to Gusu Chodi. "Fellow immortal, this is a pill concocted by I. Take it first and see what happens. If it doesn't work, I will ask Martial Uncle to bestow upon you the medicinal pills used by Confucian cultivators." "Alright." Gusuchodi smiled as she took the pill. However, she suddenly realized something and exclaimed, "What? You have an uncle master? What is his cultivation level?" Xian Songzi replied in a boastful manner, "What do you think, fellow immortal? Your master is already at the Mahayana stage. Martial uncle should be a literary sage, right?" Gusuchodi probed. "Could it be that he's a literary star? This is impossible. Haha, fellow immortal, you don't have to guess anymore." Taoist Jingting said with a smile, "For fellow Taoists, please follow us to Bai Qingyu. Master has instructed us to attend Qingbo's banquet." Fellow Taoists. Exalted Master Sun Kong wasn't particularly familiar with Taoist Jingting and Xian Songzi. He bowed and said, "If possible, I would like to ask the two fellow Taoists to lend a hand and ask the two fellow Taoists master to save Taoist Xiao." "Fellow Taoists, don't worry," Taoist Jingting said with a smile. "Master brought 200,000 disciples to save him." "Ah!" For thunderbolts blasted Zhai Xingzi, Gusuchodi Zhangdaoran, and exalted Master Sun Kong unconscious. After half a cup of tea's time, Gusuchodi gasped and said in a low voice, These 200,000 nascent soul cultivators are all your descendants? You're from the same sect? Since when did our hidden immortal continent have a Tao cultivator sect?" It was an indescribable shock. They originally thought that these 200,000 nascent soul cultivators were all the Tao cultivators in the entire hidden immortal continent. But Zhang Daoran and the rest didn't expect that these were merely the nascent soul disciples of a Tao cultivator sect. It wasn't that their imagination wasn't rich enough. It was because they didn't dare to imagine. "Let's talk about this after we meet Master." Xian Songzi and Taoist Jingting smiled without saying anything. They raised their hands and said, "Please." Gusuchodi thought that she had discovered the truth of the matter, but when she heard that there was another Confucian cultivator who was at least a literary saint, she lost all confidence in her guess. Although Xiao Hua could miraculously cultivate to the Grand Ascension stage, where would he find another literary saint junior brother? When Zhai Xingzi and the rest fell into a dead end, Xiongyi and the rest of the Fortune Gates disciples were also in a desperate situation. Xiongyi couldn't help but want to roar as he watched his disciples die in front of him. He activated his sword pillar and killed one demon soldier after another, but how could the lives of these demon soldiers be compared to the lives of the Fortune Gates disciples? Xiongyi's heart was bleeding. Prince Lan's mood wasn't any better. He regretted not killing Xiongyi outside the battlefield, so that he could bring these Fortune Gates disciples back to the Soaring Dragon Mountain range. Seeing that Xiongyi was blocked by a demon general, Prince Lan hurriedly released his divine sense to search for Taoist Master Qing Su, who was hiding among the Fortune Gates disciples. "Prince Lan." Sure enough, Taoist Master Qing Su's voice sounded 1,000 zhang away from Prince Lan. "Are you going to make a move?" "Prince Lan, it's not too late to make a move now. If you delay any longer, all of Bai Qingyu's demon soldiers will surround us and we won't even be able to escape." Another voice sounded. Prince Lan was shocked. "Venerable Master Fan Tian? When did you arrive?" "Not just me." Venerable Master Fan Tian laughed. "The ancestor has also sent over a dozen nascent soul and leaving aperture realm cultivators to help you. As long as you give the order now, we will immediately make you the master of the Soaring Dragon Mountain range. Otherwise, we will prepare to retreat now. After all, Bai Qingyu isn't someone a few nascent soul realm cultivators like us can defeat." "Fine." Prince Lan looked at the corpses all over the ground. Humans and demons were mixed together. He gritted his teeth and said, "I've decided." Right at this time, the 200,000 Fortune Gates iron-blooded disciples drove their lightning boats out from the left. Their imposing aura filled the entire battlefield. Not only Prince Lan and Xiongyi, but even Taoist Qing Su and Venerable Master Fan Tian were shocked. When the Fortune Gates disciples came closer and everyone's divine sense swept over them, they couldn't help but be surprised and delighted. Xiongyi controlled his sword pillar to dodge the demon general's attack and shouted, "Disciples, our human race has reinforcements. Several 100,000 nascent soul realm disciples are enough to flatten Bai Qingyu. Kill." All of the Soaring Dragon Mountain range's disciples didn't know what was going on, but their hearts were filled with hope and their morale was greatly boosted. Venerable Master Fan Tian. Prince Lan was also in a daze. He transmitted his voice to Venerable Master Fan Tian. Are these the cultivators you mentioned? The ancestor actually has so many disciples? Venerable Master Fan Tian naturally didn't understand what was going on, but when he heard Prince Lan's question, he replied proudly, "Of course they aren't my disciples. However, if there is a possibility, then there is only one possibility. This is the ancestor's arrangement. In this world, only our Grand Mist ancestor has such a big hand. Kill." At this point, how could Prince Lan not know what to do? He roared and pounced towards the demon general. How could Venerable Master Fan Tian not understand the meaning behind his words? Venerable Master Qing Su leaped up and pounced on Xiong Yi. Kill for me. At this time in the distant sky, the black bear spirit's hysterical roar entered Prince Lan's and the others' ears. Prince Lan turned pale with fright and hurriedly released his divine sense. The black bear spirit, who hadn't appeared in the sky a moment ago, had actually activated his demonic cloud and revealed the strength of a 6th-grade origin Qi realm great demon. Beside him, the golden eagle and white lion also revealed their figures. Not good. Prince Lan frantically shouted, This is my Fortune Gate's disciple. Venerable Master Qing Su and Venerable Master Fan Tian were about to attack, but when they heard Prince Lan shout, their hearts trembled and they quickly stopped. The two of them looked at each other and quietly retreated. Xiong Yi, who was facing countless murderous intents, naturally didn't notice Venerable Master Qing Su and Venerable Master Fan Tian's ambush. When he heard the black bear spirit's roar and Prince Lan's shout, he hurriedly withdrew and released his divine sense. Sure enough, in the sky behind him, the golden eagle spread its wings and swept away all the snowflakes floating in the air. Its huge demonic body revealed the strength of a 6th-grade origin Qi realm cultivator. Is what's going on? Xiong Yi was stunned. He hurriedly urged his body to fly up into the sky. At this time, a voice came from not far away. Is Brother Xiong in front? Oh! Xiong Yi was slightly taken aback and hurriedly turned his head. He saw Venerable Master Qing Su and Venerable Master Fan Tian flying over with smiles on their faces. Venerable Master Qing Su? Xiong Yi had seen Venerable Master Qing Su in front of the Yaotai Mountain. He was a little surprised to see Venerable Master Qing Su here. We are under the orders of the Grand Mist Ancestor to bring a dozen cultivators to rescue Venerable Xiao. Venerable Master Qing Su explained sincerely. When Xiong Yi heard this, a smile appeared on his face. He bowed and said, Thank you, brother. Thank you for your concern for my master. You're welcome. Venerable Master Qing Su helped Xiong Yi up with a smile and said, You and I are both from the Tao sect. When one of us is in trouble, we naturally need help from all sides. Currently, in the hidden immortal continent, only Venerable Xiao can enter my master's eyes. How can my master not come to rescue Venerable Xiao? At this point, Venerable Master Qing Su said with a puzzled expression, But, what's going on with these hundreds of thousands of cultivators? Xiong Yi smiled bitterly and said, I don't know either. When I figure it out, I will tell you in detail. In addition, when Bai Qingyu's matter is over, I will inform my master of your great kindness and ask him to make a decision. Well said, well said. We'll talk about everything after this matter is over. Venerable Master Qing Su smiled and turned to Venerable Master Fan Tian and said, Senior Brother Fan Tian, how about we join hands and attack Bai Qingyu? Venerable Master Fan Tian laughed loudly. The two of them no longer spoke to Xiong Yi and attacked Bai Qingyu with their techniques. Chapter 4375. Senior Brother Xiong, what is going on? Cold sweat dripped down Lan's back. He flew to Xiong Yi's side and asked loudly, Are these hundreds of thousands of disciples really my Fortune Gate's disciples? How would I know? Xiong Yi felt an indescribable joy in his heart, but he still lowered his voice and said, I'm just using them to boost the disciples' morale. As for the details, I'll have to ask Black Bear. Let's go. Prince Lan had a guilty conscience, so he was naturally nervous as he urged Xiong Yi. Xiong Yi and Lan flew high up in the sky and were immediately spotted by the golden condor. The golden condor flapped its wings and arrived in front of the two before Black Bear. It transformed into its human form and bowed. Golden Condor greets the two young masters. Are you really the Golden Condor? Lan was in disbelief. After all, the golden condor's ferocious aura was much stronger than the demonic beast generals he had encountered before. Yes, this lowly one is the golden condor. The golden condor replied indifferently. Although it addressed Lan as the young master, it was Xiaohua's demonic beast guardian. From its point of view, it was closer to Xiaohua. Are these hundreds of thousands of nascent soul cultivators my Fortune Gates disciples? Xiongyi asked again. Yes. The golden condor nodded. These 200,000 disciples are the Fortune Gates disciples personally trained by Master. How is that possible? Prince Lan exclaimed. Hasn't he been suppressed by monster monarch Bikinjiu all these years? How could he train so many nascent soul cultivators? At this moment, the 200,000 iron-blooded army had already charged past Xiongyi and His Highness Lan. The two thunderbolts rumbled as they charged towards the depths of Baiqingyu. Baiqingyu's demons didn't put up much resistance in this torrent, and were all killed. Even if there were dozens of 6th-grade demonic beast generals, there were still severed divinity stage disciples among the Fortune Gates disciples who flew out and killed them. How could Lan believe that every single Fortune Gates disciple had a higher cultivation than him? The one suppressed by Baiqingyu wasn't Master. The golden condor replied. As for how Master trained these disciples, he will naturally explain it to the young master. Xiongyi Prince Lan. At this moment the black bear spirit flew over. After calling out to them affectionately, he seemed to have thought of something and hurriedly kept his wild waves. He bowed and said, Black Bear greets the two young sect masters. Seeing Black Bear being so respectful towards him, Xiongyi smiled and said, Now that you are a 6th-grade essence energy, this Xiong is merely a 4th-grade essence energy. You are this Xiong senior. I don't dare. Black Bear was a little arrogant, but he was only respectful. Black Bear is only the old master's gatekeeper. I can't be compared to young sect master. Where is Master? His Highness Lan asked again. I don't know either. Black Bear laughed. Master has already arrived a step earlier. I don't know where he went. See. His Highness Lan was shocked, and cold sweat immediately appeared on his back. Black Bear, tell me honestly. You are already at 6th-grade essence force. Where is Master? Xiongyi had a clear conscience, and there was only ecstasy in his heart. He understood that since Xiaohua was able to nurture an ordinary Fortune Gate disciple into a nascent soul realm cultivator, and even a nascent soul realm cultivator, then as Xiaohua's disciple, his future was limitless. Does that even need to be said? White Lion also flew over and laughed. From today onwards, our Fortune Gates disciples can do whatever they want in the 3 mainlands. This is too inconceivable. Xiongyi really didn't know how to express his incomparably wild emotions. Bear Palm Sect Master. At this time, Ingpa also flew over and shouted, What's going on? Haha, my master is here. Xiongyi laughed loudly. These 200,000 nascent soul realm disciples are all my Fortune Gates disciples. That's impossible, right? Ingpa was still alive, and he looked at everyone in confusion. He then looked at the little white dragon inside the fire pillar and said, If Master Xiao is here, then who is being suppressed under the fire pillar? Black Bear Spirit shrugged and shook his head. Old Master didn't say, so I don't know either. Boom. At this time a burst of devil chi soared into the sky, and a figure flashed by. Baiqingyu, a 7th-grade essence force great beast, was killed, and the commotion immediately attracted everyone's attention. Is that Yuanya? Prince Lan's eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. When did he become so fierce? Haha, the fierceness is yet to come. Black Bear Spirit laughed. Black Bear is about to swallow the sun, and Ye's old master's inner disciple. How can he be worse than Black Bear? Black Bear Spirit said in a low voice, Xiongyi, I boasted in front of Master that I would massacre Baiqingyu. You also know that I can fight alone, but when it comes to mobilizing troops, I'm not even fit to carry your shoes. You have to help me. Oh, these disciples don't know you, just give the order, I'll pass it to you. Haha. Xiongyi laughed and said, With these 200,000 disciples, why would I need to mobilize troops? Wouldn't it be easier to just flatten Baiqingyu? Hehe. Black Bear Spirit only laughed and didn't dare to reply. Since Xiongyi said so, he naturally didn't dare to be careless. He released his divine sense and began to pass down the order. Xiongyi was even more shocked when he saw the 200,000 disciples advancing in an orderly manner. This was clearly an army that had been on the battlefield for a long time. With such an army, who in the three mainlands could be the Fortune Gate's opponent? Xiongyi had never seen such a battle formation before. Xiaohua was also anxious. Seeing the little white dragon suppressed by the fire pillar and the Fortune Gate's disciples fighting on the battlefield, he sent out 200,000 Fortune Gate's iron army. Back in the ruins when the devil race invaded, the Fortune Gate only sent out 200,000 disciples. Those 200,000 disciples roamed the southwest of the ruins, saved 8 sects from danger, and defeated the devil race. Their fame spread far and wide. Now how could a small Bai Qingyu compare to the devil race? Although these 200,000 disciples weren't all the original 200,000 disciples, the main force was still there. Facing Bai Qingyu's demon soldiers and generals, these 200,000 Fortune Gate's disciples were like a flood that washed over the land. The several 100,000 demonic beast cultivators who tried to resist were like small ripples in the water as they were annihilated. The several 100,000 demonic beast cultivators, who were holding back the rear, also hurried over to meet the battle. Seeing such an unstoppable attack, Xiongyi was shocked. He flew to the black bear spirit's side and opened his mouth, but no words came out. Not only were these Fortune Gate's disciples powerful, but their teamwork was also very good. More importantly, there was a cultivator who was better at commanding than him. Xiongyi had already noticed that after he gave out his orders, the Fortune Gate's disciples would complete their tasks to the letter. Moreover, they would also reorganize some details that he hadn't thought of. Moreover, this situation didn't happen in one place, but in different areas of the 200,000 disciples. In other words, there were many disciples who were commanding the battle. At this point, Xiongyi was too embarrassed to give any orders. He looked at the black bear spirit and said, "Black bear, Master asked you to command this battle, because he has a card up his sleeve. Why are you pulling me?" "Ah, is that so?" The black bear spirit naturally couldn't see the reason. He scratched his head and said, "How would I know? I'm just afraid of messing up Master's plan." "Then what do you think we should do?" "Easy." Xiongyi looked at Prince Lan, then at the golden condor and white lion. He smiled and said, "Just 5 words." Say it, say it." The black bear spirit urged. "Bathe Bai Qingyu in blood." Xiongyi replied word by word. That's right, massacre." The black bear spirit snorted coldly, and a fierce light flashed in his eyes. "Master is benevolent. If he wasn't forced, he would never give orders like this." Xiongyi smiled, but the smile on his face was cold. He replied, "However, we lost more than half of our Fortune Gate's disciples in this battle. Do you think the Fortune Gate's disciples you brought will show mercy?" "Kill! Kill! Kill!" The black bear spirit understood and shouted, "Massacre Bai Qingyu." Naturally, there was no need for the black bear spirit to say the word kill. The Fortune Gate's disciples from the Shanhua continent flew over and saw the corpses on the ground. There was no lack of humans among them. Their eyes had long turned red. The lightning above the lightning boats were like swords, while the treasures below the boats were like blades. The blades and swords fell on Bai Qingyu's demonic beasts, reaping their lives every time. The demonic beasts' lives and blood were washing away the humiliation they had inflicted on Taoist Xiao. While Zhai Xingzi, Xiong Eaosheng, and Ao Zhantian were ecstatic to have escaped death, the 3 beast kings and the group of demonic beasts near Bai Qingyu's heavenly dam water prison were in a predicament. These demonic beast clansmen who were gulping down wine, meat, and slaughtering demonic beasts as appetizers laughed heartily when they saw the appearance of the 200,000 Fortune Gate disciples. They thought that it was another free meal. However, when they saw the Fortune Gate disciples slaughtering the demonic beast clansmen, destroying Bai Qingyu's demonic beast formation like a hot knife through butter, and the 2 lightning ships approaching the heavenly dam water prison, they were dumbfounded. "My eyes aren't playing tricks on me, right?" Peng Jun looked at the light screen in disbelief and released his primordial sense. His primordial sense swept across the battlefield like a mountain. The killing intent of the hundreds of thousands of disciples almost destroyed his primordial sense. Peng Jun couldn't help but ask. And I Quan was also dumbfounded. This Could it be that the Dao Gates cultivators from the hidden immortal continent are all here for Taoist Xiaohua? How is that possible? Bai Qing's body flashed with a 5-colored halo as he replied coldly, even the entire hidden immortal continent can't have so many high-level cultivators, right? Then where did these humans come from? It seems like we didn't receive any information at all, right? Peng Jun frowned. Ha ha, who cares where they came from? Bai Qing laughed loudly. Right now, not only do we have Bai Qingyu's demonic beasts, but we also have the demonic beasts from Shrouding Sky Ridge and Ancient Bell Mountain. Why would we be afraid of these hundreds of thousands of humans? Do you think these demonic beasts in front of us are pushovers? I originally thought that this would be a feast, and these human cultivators were merely appetizers. Who would have thought that they would actually become a feast? Brothers. Chapter 4376. Yes. The group of great demons stood up proudly and replied while wiping the blood from their mouths. Assemble all of Bai Qingyu's demon soldiers and kill the humans. Bai Qing ordered coldly, completely disregarding the hundreds of thousands of nascent soul cultivators. Yes, Your Majesty. The great demons received the order and moved their demon clouds. The two demon kings, Peng Jun and Enai Quan, also looked at each other and ordered the remaining great demons, you all also lead all the men to fight against the humans. Yes. The group of great demons left, leaving only the 3 demon kings and other demon attendants at the foot of the mountain. Enai Quan raised his head to look at Xiao Hua under the fire pillar and said with a smile, the humans are the most cunning. Brother demon, you have to be careful. Don't fall for the humans' trick of luring the tiger away from the mountain. Trick of luring the tiger away from the mountain? Bai Qing's tone was full of disdain as she replied, Brother demon, have you forgotten? The humans also have a saying that all schemes and tricks are nothing in front of strength. Do you think that the human cultivators can succeed in their schemes in front of us demon kings? Brother demon, you better not be too careless. Enai Quan said with some worry, this is 200,000 nascent soul cultivators. I have never heard that the hidden immortal continent has so many Taoist disciples. If it's really a trick of luring the tiger away from the mountain, this is a bit too much. Peng Jun's eyes flickered with golden light as he looked at the battle in the distance and said indifferently, Xiao Hua, who is only at the 4th or 5th grade of essence energy, is it worth it? Suddenly, Enai Quan opened his mouth again and asked very strangely, Brother Peng, I still don't understand one thing. I didn't dare to ask before. At this point, I think it's better to ask. Oh, what question does Brother Demon have? Could it be that we haven't been frank enough? Peng Jun was stunned. It's not a big question. Enai Quan glanced at Bai Qing and asked, Brother Peng seems to want to get some information from Xiao Hua, right? Since he's not willing to answer, why can't we search his soul? Although our demon race's soul-searching method can't compare to the humans, it's still better than interrogating for 100 years, right? I'll have to ask Brother Bai to answer this question. Peng Jun's face twitched slightly, revealing a smile yet not a smile as he replied. Bai Qing didn't hide anything and replied, I've thought about this before. However, the soul-searching technique of the demon race is different from that of the human race. Moreover, I've also asked the Confucian cultivators of the human race. They said that the Taoist sect is the best at soul-searching. However, the Confucian cultivator had also said that no matter how brilliant the soul-searching technique was, there was always a chance of failure. So, at this point, Bai Qing pointed at a certain spot in the air and said in a low voice, Ancestor doesn't allow it. Alright, then I understand. When Enai Quan heard the old ancestor's name, respect immediately appeared on his face. He knew that the information Bai Qingyu wanted was too important and couldn't be careless in the slightest. He turned his head again, looked around and said with a smile, apart from the banquet, we've also invited you into our trap. I wonder if the 2 demon brothers will be able to find any clues in this battle. We still don't know if there's any progress on the matter we're waiting for. However, it seems that Brother Ni's matter has already been ruined. Peng Jun replied with a faint smile. Enai Quan nodded and said, although there hasn't been any news, looking at the situation, there's a more powerful enemy after these humans. This enemy isn't someone that our ancient Bell Mountain can compare to. Anyway, it's just a setup in the human race. If it doesn't work this time, there'll be a next time. Boom. At this moment, A strong wind roared in the distant sky, and several thick five-colored light pillars soared into the sky. However, the beam of light disappeared in a flash, leaving no trace behind. Haha, it's indeed a diversion. Peng Jun laughed and said with a sweep of the golden light in his eyes. However, after a moment, his face changed slightly, and he said in a low voice, "Oh no, the enemy seems to be quite powerful or has some special divine ability. I can't find any trace of it." Oh. Bai Qing was also slightly stunned. She glanced at Peng Jun and asked curiously, "Even Brother Peng can't find it?" "Yes." Peng Jun's face became more and more serious, and he said in a low voice, "It seems that we're going to have some trouble. Brother Bai, have you informed the star-concealing lake about today's battle?" An Quan asked hurriedly. Bai Qing replied, "In addition, if Brother Yao has informed, then I'll inform too." When Peng Jun heard this, his face showed a trace of relief and he said, "That's good. That's good. If something really goes wrong, we won't be able to explain it." An Quan was even more curious, and he transmitted his voice, "Brother Peng, what do you want to ask? It seems that you're more nervous than Bai Qing." I can't say. Peng Jun smiled and didn't answer. An Quan was about to speak again. Buzz. Suddenly, the weather within a radius of 100 miles changed. The dark clouds suddenly began to roar like waves, and thousands of vortexes formed in midair. Each vortex had wisps of lightning flashing in it. The three monster kings turned pale with fright when they felt the will that was even more vast than the mountains slowly descending from the clouds. After receiving the three beast kings' orders, the group of greater demons led their troops out to meet the Fortune Gate's disciples head-on. The dozen or so greater demons had yet to wipe the blood from the corners of their mouths, and they immediately released their demonic chi. With demonic clouds and demonic weapons in their hands, they charged towards the Fortune Gate's disciples. In the eyes of these greater demons, a grade 4 nascent soul cultivator was just an appetizer, even if there were 200,000 of them. Xiongyi was alarmed when he saw the greater demons flying towards them from afar. He hurriedly shouted, "Black Bear, quick, order the army to get into formation. This is a grade 7 nascent soul realm greater demon. It's not something we can deal with." "Okay." Although Black Bear answered, the disdain in his eyes was obvious. After witnessing the bloody battle between the human race and the devil race, no one would be too concerned about these demonic beasts. "Get into formation and meet the enemy." Black Bear roared in midair. Gotcha! Huge lightning bolts emerged from the two lightning boats at the same time. The lightning bolts intersected and protected the two lightning boats. Furthermore, after the two lightning boats stopped, lightning bolts appeared on the surface of the flying boats. These lightning bolts formed a net that spread out in all directions. When the 200,000 nascent soul cultivators saw that the two lightning boats had stopped, they also stopped their attacks. However, they did not stop. Instead, they flew in an extremely orderly manner. Some flew to the left, some to the right, and some even flew off into the distance. However, in the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the 200,000 nascent soul cultivators split into 108 small groups and surrounded the Heaven Dam Water Prison's light pillar. Boom, boom, boom. The moment the 108 small groups appeared, the entire ground shook. Countless amounts of heaven and earth origin energy condensed into thumb-sized crystal lights that fell on the 108 small groups. When the yuan qi of heaven and earth landed, the 108 spots simultaneously flashed with brilliance. Obscure ripples soared into the sky and gathered together in a tacit understanding. Then they descended towards the light pillars and sealed the entire sky dam water prison tightly. This is the capital Heavenly Stars formation. Xiongyi couldn't help but exclaim when he saw how familiar the light and the fluctuations were. "That's right," Black Bear said proudly. "This is the military formation that General Sun set up based on the Old Master's capital Heavenly Stars formation. Ever since our Fortune Gate's disciples activated it, they have been invincible and have never been defeated." General Sun? Xiongyi was taken aback. He didn't know who Black Bear was talking about. Black Bear realized that he had misspoken. He chuckled and pointed to the front. "Xiongyi, look ahead." Oh, Xiongyi smiled. Naturally, he wouldn't ask too much. However, he didn't mind Black Bear changing the topic. However, when Xiongyi saw the Fortune Gate's disciples flying out from the 108 small groups, he couldn't help but be shocked. He exclaimed in shock, "How is this possible? There are actually so many body integration realm disciples? There aren't that many. Most of these disciples are 6th grade Essence Force incarnations. Only a few of them are 7th grade Essence Force incarnations." Black Bear chuckled. He didn't seem to care at all. In the past, Xiaohua had taken away tens of thousands of babies from the soaring Dragon Mountain range. These babies had spent thousands of years in the heavenly prison. Their aptitudes might not be comparable to Lu Yi and the others, but the Shenhua continent's heaven and earth origin energy was unbelievably abundant. Moreover, when these babies cultivated, they were different from Lu Yi and the others. They focused on Dao sex magic arts, and even lightning arts. Therefore, after thousands of years of focused cultivation, many of the disciples had divine abilities that weren't inferior to Lu Yi and the others. These disciples were the pillars of the Fortune Gate, and at the same time they were also the elites of the Shenhua continent. After experiencing the ruins and the desolate continent, their knowledge and cultivation had improved greatly. Now they had all established their own sections. However, there were too many powerful people on the Shenhua continent. Without the permission of the Lightning Sage and Xiaohua, they were still juniors and didn't establish their own sections. Even when Xiaohua had casually pulled them out of the Shenhua continent during the battle here, they had only thought of themselves as ordinary Fortune Gate disciples. Only when the Heavenly Star formation was completed, and they were facing a 7th grade Essence Force Great Demon, did they reveal their sharpness like an all entering a sack. "Master is really generous, ah." Xiongyi groaned. His mouth was full of bitterness. There were tens of thousands of disciples in the soaring Dragon Mountain range, and the highest cultivation was only 4th grade Nascent Soul Realm. When Xiaohua appeared, he casually took out a Nascent Soul Realm disciple. Moreover, these body integration realm and spirit severing realm cultivators, which had never appeared on the hidden immortal continent, were hidden among the Nascent Soul Realm cultivators. The offensive formation from before must have been set up by these high-grade disciples. Xiongyi was smiling bitterly when a cold voice sounded from several formations in the distance. "Damn feathered beast, you dare to block the way? Hand over your life." Chapter 4377. Xiongyi knew that it was Yuan Ye's voice the moment he heard it, and he hurriedly looked over. Sure enough, about 10 miles to the left, Yuan Ye flew over with more than 10 giant dragons. Seeing an eagle-like great demon charging over, he immediately waved his bone spear and went up to meet it. That greater demon had the bloodline of the sky-concealing ridge's golden-winged great Peng. He saw that the array set up by the Fortune Gate's disciples was very profound. Even though the one flying out of the array was only a 6th grade Origin Energy Dao Gate's cultivator, if he attacked directly, he might not have the upper hand. Just as he was thinking about whether or not to attack, he heard Yuan Ye scolding the array, and he couldn't help but feel angry. That greater demon stretched his neck and let out a long cry. He spread his wings, and his entire body soared into the sky. Then with a turn he swooped down like a mountain. His eagle claws not only let out shrill whistling sounds, they even tore through the void. "Come on." Yuan Ye narrowed his eyes and roared. Pitch-black true energy flashed around his body. This true energy was different from devil chi, and it didn't have devil flames or devils. However, when this true energy entered the bone spear, devil chi began to form from the bone spear's handle. Countless thumb-sized devils were born from the bone spear, and they rushed towards the tip of the spear. When the demonic chi carried the demon general through the bone spear, a demonic dragon was born in Yuan Ye's hand. It was surrounded by demonic chi. That devil dragon roared and charged into the sky. Even though the golden-winged great Peng's claws tore through the void, wherever the devil dragon flew out, the devil chi would fill the void. Rip! An ear-piercing sound rang out as the golden-winged great Peng's claws tore the devil dragon's devil chi apart. One by one, the blood devils were cut in half by the devil chi. Under the devil chi, the bone spear's body was revealed once again. Seeing that the attack was effective, the great golden-winged rock let out another clear cry and opened its mouth. Whoosh! A silver-white beam of light fell. Wherever the beam of light landed, all the torn demonic chi was destroyed. Not a single demon escaped. However, just as the golden-winged rock was about to grab Yuanye's body with its claws, Yuanye suddenly raised his hand and flicked the spear. The entire body of the spear emitted a mysterious crimson color. At the tip of the spear, the bone dragon's mouth spat out a ray of bloody light, which landed on the golden-winged rock's body. The golden-winged rock was shocked. It flapped its wings to try to dodge, but it was only able to dodge the attack. One of its wings was hit by the blood light. Sizzle! When the sanguine light landed on the wing, half of the wing was immediately corroded. The golden-winged rock's body immediately became unstable. Go to hell! Seeing this, Yuanye suddenly roared. A pitch-black light flashed around his body. Under the urging of his dermic powers, the demonic spear pounced forward like a dragon. The dragon's horn was like the tip of the spear, and it pierced right into the golden-winged rock's abdomen. The golden-winged rock's demon body, which had been tempered for an unknown period of time, was unable to block the demonic spear. The tip of the spear ruthlessly pierced into the demon body. The golden-winged rock let out a mournful cry. Its other wing flapped rapidly, and its entire body flew up in the hurricane trying to escape. However, the golden-winged rock only flew up a few feet. At the spot where the demonic spear had pierced into the demon body, a fist-sized demonic flame appeared. This demonic flame began to spread rapidly from the golden-winged rock's abdomen to other parts of its body. The golden-winged rock panicked. As it screeched, it hurriedly spat out another ray of silver-white light, trying to destroy the demonic flame. However, before it could spit out a few rays of silver-white light, the demonic flame had already swallowed its several hundred zhang body. A short while later, a blood-red phantom emerged from the demonic flame. It seemed to be the greater demon's secret technique. Unfortunately, this phantom had only just poked its head out. Several devils formed from demonic flame emerged from all directions, opening their mouths wide as they pounced on the phantom. In a few breaths' time, the phantom was swallowed by a group of devils. Xiongyi, who was watching from afar, was dumbfounded. He sucked in a breath of cold air as he said, This is a 7th grade origin Qi realm greater demon. He was killed just like that. It's not just this greater demon, look at the others. The black bear spirit said nonchalantly as he pointed in another direction. Sure enough, other than the greater demon that Yuanye was fighting, there were more than a dozen greater demons leading several hundred 6th grade origin Qi realm greater demon generals. With the demonic spear in Yuanye's hand, dealing with the greater demon was a piece of cake, but the other Fortune Gate disciples were having a hard time. Most of them were fighting with the greater demon, and there were even 3 to 5 Fortune Gate disciples who were forced into a passive position, almost losing their lives several times. Although Xiongyi saw it, he could only watch from the sidelines. This level of battle was beyond his ability, and he would only be throwing his life away if he went up. Whoa! Right at this moment, a series of thunderous roars that resembled the roars of giant beasts resounded in front of the group of Fortune Gate's disciples. In the next moment, they saw the dense clouds in the middle of the capital heaven star formation churning rapidly as thousands of vortexes formed within the formation. Then thousands of lightning bolts flashed within the vortexes, striking down towards the ground. As the lightning bolts fell, the space within 100 li was filled with huge pillars of lightning. Within these pillars of lightning, a powerful consciousness descended from the heavens, and in a few breaths' time, it had enveloped an area of 1,000 li. Boom! As the unshakable consciousness descended, the capital heavenly stars formation let out an even more powerful roar. The 108 talisman-like formation suddenly lit up, emitting dazzling lightning bolts. The lightning bolts soared into the sky, attacking the dozen greater demons and several hundred demon generals blocking the army. Woo! Like a whirlwind, the 7th grade Essence Qi Great Demon and the 6th grade Essence Qi Demon General were instantly annihilated by the lightning. When the lightning passed by, not to mention bones, even the primordial spirit and soul did not have a single trace left behind. Xiongyi's eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. However, the scene that appeared next made him freeze in midair, and he even forgot to breathe. As the consciousness descended, in the midst of the several thousand pillars of lightning, a several thousand zhang tall golden body slowly appeared in the sky. This golden body appeared from the feet, inch by inch, And with every inch of the golden body that appeared, the vastness of the consciousness increased by a little. Although the appearance of the golden body seemed slow, in reality, it was extremely fast. When the consciousness that filled heaven and earth had reached its limit, the appearance of the golden body was revealed. Although all the Fortune Gate's disciples had a premonition in their hearts, when Xiong Yi's sword-like eyebrows reached his temples, his phoenix-like eyes slanted, and the anger and supreme majesty between his brows appeared in the sky, the reverence and worship in the hearts of all the disciples also reached an extreme level. The morale that had been suppressed by the greater demons instantly soared into the sky like an unsheathed sword, matching with Xiaohua's consciousness, as if it was Xiaohua's sword. Xiaohua. When the three greater demon kings saw Xiaohua's appearance, the shock in their hearts was even greater than when they saw the sky collapse. How is this possible? Golden light flickered in Peng Jun's eyes, and the feathers around his body trembled rapidly under Xiaohua's pressure. How can Xiaohua be a Mahayana cultivator? How can there be a Mahayana cultivator in this world? Damn it! Enaiquan's heart was like dead ashes. I actually schemed against a human cultivator with a 9th grade essence force. Am I tired of living? Could this be a trap set by Xiaohua for me by Qingyu? Bai Qing thought even more. No, this can't be Xiaohua, this is Qi. Peng Jun immediately exclaimed without hesitation. Qi. Bai Qing and Enaiquan were stunned, and asked in surprise, who is Qi? Brother Peng, at this point could it be that you still have something to hide? What's the point of asking so much now? Peng Jun sneered, and tried his best to resist the pressure, and shouted, how should we deal with it? What countermeasures can we come up with? Bai Qing smiled bitterly. This human cultivator is at the 9th grade essence force. There's an essential difference between the 9th grade and the 8th grade. What can we do to resist? Damn it! Peng Jun's eyes flashed with viciousness. He's just a human. So what if he's at the 9th grade essence force? The three of us have already risked our lives, do we still have to be afraid of him? Don't forget, this dragon who looks like Xiaohua has been suppressed by us for close to 200 years. If we fall into his hands, I'm afraid we'll suffer a fate worse than death. That's right. If we die, Peng Sage, Bei Sage, and Enai Sage will definitely not let this guy go. Even if he's at the 9th grade essence force, how can he be a match for 3 great sages? Enaiquan made a decision in a moment. The 3 demon kings looked at each other and were about to make a move. At this moment, Xiaohua was standing in the air like a god. His eyes were like lightning as he looked around. He coldly snorted and grabbed with his right hand. Wang Wang. All the lightning within a few miles was caught in his hand and turned into a lightning sword. Then Xiaohua waved his hand, and the lightning sword slashed at the shadow of the fire pillar in midair. Boom! As the lightning sword fell, whether it was the shadow of light or Bai Qingyu's demon array, all of them turned into ashes. However, when the lightning sword landed on the heavenly dam water prison, a 5-colored halo emerged from the top of the prison and blocked the lightning sword. Haha! Xiaohua looked at the halo and laughed. The light of a firefly dares to compete with the brilliance of the sun and the moon? Then, Xiaohua shook his hand, and the lightning sword turned into tens of thousands of lightning fragments that fell between heaven and earth. At the same time, he waved his right arm and took out the 5-elemental wishful heaven staff. Grow, grow, grow! Xiaohua roared, and the 5-elemental wishful heaven staff turned into a huge staff that was as big as a mountain. Open! Xiaohua swung the 5-elemental wishful heaven staff, and smashed it on the mountain peak of the heavenly dam water prison. Chapter 4378. Boom! The 5-colored halo only resisted for a moment and immediately turned into fragments scattered among the rocks. When the wishful steel staff fell, the entire mountain peak shook extremely. Just in front of hundreds of thousands of human cultivators, the heavenly dam water prison collapsed from the top, revealing the fire pillar that suppressed the little white dragon inside. The wishful steel staff did not stop and still fell on the fire pillar. However, the 5-colored halo on the fire pillar was instantly destroyed, and the various colors of the demon characters inside were broken inch by inch. The crimson magma and flames inside the fire pillar, as well as the 5-colored light in the flames, were also destroyed by the wishful steel staff. It was like a volcanic eruption pouring out in all directions. How is this possible? And I Quan and Peng Jun were not surprised, but the five-colored light around Bai Qing's body could not help but jump, and a surprised voice came. Because he was too clear about the origin of this demon array. He really did not believe that Xiao Hua could defeat this demon array with a single blow. And I Quan and Peng Jun did not quite understand why Bai Qing was so surprised, but at this time they saw Xiao Hua waving his big hand holding the wishful steel staff, and the entire collapsed fire pillar was imprisoned by Xiao Hua again. Thousands of small thunder threads gushed out from the big hand, covering all the magma and flames, and a small rune flowed between these thunder threads. In the huge roar, the entire fire pillar was condensed again. As Xiao Hua's big hand grasped, the huge fire pillar shrank, and finally condensed into a fist-sized fire bead. This fire bead was surrounded by thunder patterns, and layers of five-colored halos also flowed between the thunder patterns. Seeing Xiao Hua's magical power, the three demon kings who were going to go all out were completely discouraged. The courage that had just been summoned turned into the 9 clouds, and no one knew where it landed. Luckily, the three demon kings rejoiced at the same time. The dragon suppressed under the fire pillar was not killed. However, when Xiao Hua took back the fire pillar, the heavenly dam water prison turned into an abyss of thousands of feet. At the bottom of the abyss, where was the little white dragon's body? Damn it! Xiao Hua scanned the area with his divine sense and immediately flew into a rage. He once again raised his hand. Rumble! 3 enormous bolts of lightning like dragons enveloped the 3 monster kings at the same time. Bai Qing and the other beast kings felt the space around them tighten. Not to mention the power of the stars and moon, even the scenery in front of them had changed. The hundreds of thousands of Fortune Gate's disciples from before had turned into a boundless sea of lightning in a flash. Within the sea of lightning, there were horned dragons roaring with fury and dragon's might. You actually dare to make fun of this old man? Xiao Hua's dignified voice emerged from the sea of lightning. Following this voice, countless bolts of lightning surged towards the 3 monster kings. Amidst the lightning, a mountain-like fist struck the 3 Fey monarchs. Boom! 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 The void shattered as the 3 Fey monarchs turned pale with fright. They hurriedly tried to dodge, but in the face of absolute power, all their attempts to block and scheme were futile. In the eyes of the 3 Fey monarchs, the fist had already become the world. The 3 8th-grade demonic beast kings had no way of resisting at all. With 3 loud bangs, the huge demonic beast kings were struck by a fist at the same time. The demonic beast kings that had been refined for God knows how many years were instantly smashed open, and the 3 demonic beast kings were sent flying into the air. In just a split second, that fist that covered heaven and earth turned into a palm. With a slight move, the 3 monster kings' bloody bodies were pulled back. At this time, the 3 monster kings no longer had any thoughts of resistance. Bai Qing pleaded, Taoist Xiao, please spare my life. This what happened, this little one is also not clear. That's right. And I Quan called out in a servile manner. Just now when the image of the fire pillar appeared, this little one was still worried, so I used my essence force to take a look. The dragon clan is still safe and sound there, father? At this time suddenly, an ecstatic voice came from underground not far away. Then another voice calmly called out, Father, have you escaped? Goldie? This voice naturally came from the bottom of his heart. Xiao Hua was shocked. He no longer cared about interrogating the 3 monster kings. His other hand grabbed towards the source of the voice. The entire earth shook violently again. Xiao Hua's big hand directly pierced into the ground. When the big hand reached out again, Goldie and Blackie appeared in midair, full of energy. Father! Goldie shouted and flew towards Xiao Hua. However, when he saw Xiao Hua's huge golden body, he couldn't help but be a little stunned. On the other hand, Blackie seemed very calm. Although he was wagging his tail, he also looked at Xiao Hua's golden body in a daze. If the 2 little ones didn't go through experience, they wouldn't be like this. Xiao Hua was Xiao Hua, their father. However, after more than 200 years of experience, they had a lot of understanding of strength and realm. They also understood that their father couldn't have reached such a high realm in such a short time. Damn it! Seeing that the 2 little ones were safe and sound, Xiao Hua's heart calmed down. Looking at Bai Qing, who was imprisoned by him, he angrily rebuked, "Not only did you tarnish my name, you suppressed my good friend, and you even imprisoned my child. You really deserve to die." As he spoke, he stretched out his right index finger. A thunderbolt like a sword pierced through the air and stabbed towards Bai Qing. "Father, wait." Goldie saw that Xiao Hua was angry and hurriedly shouted again. Although this monster king suppressed father. Oh no, how could his strength suppress father? Oh, forget it, I don't care. Although this monster king imprisoned the boy, he didn't make things difficult for him. He gave good food and drinks to the boy. It seems that he wants to win over the boy. Oh. Xiao Hua frowned and the lightning sword light stopped. The lightning sword light was only a few feet away from Bai Qing's shell, and this distance was no longer enough to block the power of the lightning. The five-colored halo on his shell had already been shattered, and cracks had appeared on that incomparably hard shell. Obviously it was injured by his punch just now. What's going on? Although Xiao Hua was furious, he wouldn't force his anger on others and cause misunderstandings. It's like this, father. Blackie wagged his tail and replied, "We heard that father was suppressed by this monster king." Then Blackie told the story. After Xiao Hua heard it, he smiled and said, "So, you two don't hate this monster king?" "Of course not. This monster king dared to suppress father. Naturally, we have to pull out his tendons and skin him alive. However, just from the matter of the boy has nothing to say." Blackie and Goldie answered seriously. Xiao Hua was comforted and nodded. "You two have a clear distinction between love and hate. Father is very happy. You can go home and wait." "Yes, father." The two reunited with Xiao Hua and were overjoyed. When Xiao Hua shook the Kunlun mirror, they hurriedly flew into the light pillar and landed on Shunhua continent. "Where are the dragons that you suppressed?" Xiao Hua put away the two and turned to look at Bai Qing and asked coldly, This little one really doesn't know." At this time, the five-colored halo around Bai Qing had dimmed, and his voice was obviously hoarse. "It was here just now." Xiao Hua looked at An Quan and Peng Jun and laughed. "One is the monster king of Shrouding Sky Ridge. The other is the monster king of Ancient Bell Mountain. I didn't expect that I would be valued by three monster kings. This little one is really honored." Senior. Peng Jun was unruly, but at this time, facing the supreme existence of the Mahayana realm in the three continents, he really couldn't resist and hurriedly shouted, "This little one really didn't do anything. This little one really doesn't know. Where did that dragon go?" Seeing the three monster kings like this, Xiao Hua was also surprised. His soul was somewhat related to Little White Dragon's soul, but after he arrived at Bai Qingyu, he didn't sense Little White Dragon's aura. He previously thought that Bai Qingyu's demon array was brilliant, but now it seemed that Little White Dragon wasn't in Bai Qingyu at all. Moreover, Xiao Hua had already checked within 10,000 miles, and also didn't find Little White Dragon's aura. If Little White Dragon hadn't been moved, then Little White Dragon's aura was concealed by a brilliant demon array. VZZBV. Just as Xiao Hua was pondering, a huge rumbling sound came from the sky again. The clouds within 100 miles that had been enveloped by the lightning began to boil once again, and the snowflakes that had begun to drift down disappeared once again. Moreover, this boiling spread out in all directions. In just a few breaths of time it had reached 1,000 kilometers. Not only that, even after reaching 1,000 kilometers, the storm-like clouds showed no signs of stopping. Strands of light from the moon and stars surged out from the clouds, and the clouds once again spread out to 5,000 kilometers. The starlight and moonlight were like swimming fish, like water and like a painting, gradually overflowing the entire sky. Wisps of starlight and moonlight condensed again, transforming into huge demon runes. The demonic runes emitted a rumbling sound as they gathered at 3 spots in the sky. When the power of the stars and moon reached a certain level, even the heavens and earth began to tremble. 3 enormous vortexes were slowly formed, each of them emitting an enormous aura of desolation. The beams of light from the stars and moon, which were even larger than mountains, shot down, tearing apart the void within a radius of 10,000 miles. Holy Temple Teleportation! Holy Temple Teleportation! Peng Jun's eyes were wild with joy, and he shouted, "Great Holy Temple, a great saint of our monster clan has come. Thank you, Great Holy Temple, thank you, Saint Anai." An Quan tried his best to flap his wings to express his excitement, but unfortunately, under Xiaohua's restriction, how could he move? He could only shout hysterically, "This little one can finally live to see tomorrow night's starlight." Taoist Master Xiao. Bai Qingyu was ecstatic, but she was also somewhat calm. She said, "This is all a misunderstanding. Everything this little one did before was indeed wrong to Taoist Master Xiao. Now that 3 great saints of our great holy temple have arrived, if nothing unexpected happens, it should be my Bay Saint, Songyu Sky Rock Saint, and Xian Sky Forest and I Saint. I, Bai Qingyu, am willing to apologize to Taoist Master Xiao in front of the 3 great saints." Chapter 4379. This demon king Bai Qing was quite tactful. Seeing the 3 great sages teleporting over, Xiaohua was obviously at a disadvantage. Although he didn't know why the 3 great sages came, since they were here, he naturally had to use this opportunity to find a way out for himself. His words were quite sincere and didn't have any intention of threatening. Instead, he was begging for mercy, giving Xiaohua a way out. Hehe. Peng Jun sneered. "Bai Qing, why do you have to be so humble? Although Taoist Xiao is a human of the 9th grade, my great sage Hall Sage Peng is also of the 9th grade. In addition to Sage Anai and Sage Bei, it's already clear who will win and who will lose. Even if we fall now, there won't be any survivors among the hundreds of thousands of humans around Bai Qingyu. Isn't it better to let them die with us?" An Quan looked at Peng Jun in a daze. He didn't know where Peng Jun got his confidence from, and he was also muttering in his heart. If it was just from the purpose of suppressing the little white dragon, he was in the greatest danger, because what he coveted was Xiaohua's power. He even knew that Shui Mingzi had already killed some human cultivators related to Xiaohua. And although Peng Jun and Bai Qing had interrogated the little white dragon the most, what they wanted was some information, and it did not involve Xiaohua's own safety. From his point of view, the one Xiaohua hated the most should be him. Therefore, he only pondered a little and said with a smile, "Taoist Xiao, I advise you to stop here. We don't know your background and have offended you. Taoist Xiao's disciples attacking Bai Qingyu is actually a taboo of our 1,000 demons sacred realm. The 3 great sages shouldn't have come for such a small matter like Bai Qingyu. The war between the human race and the demon race is a big matter. We will admit our mistake in front of the 3 great sages and ask the 3 great sages to consider and not report this matter to the Great Sage Hall. Otherwise, not only will the lives of the hundreds of thousands of your disciples be in danger, even the human race of the hidden immortal continent might." This An Quan was the most cunning. He didn't mention his own covetousness. Instead, he expanded the scope of the matter and directly linked it to the war between the human race and the demon race. Although he didn't mention Xiaohua, every word was filled with a kind of threat. He was confident that in the face of 3 great sages, in the face of the risk of being killed, Xiaohua would definitely make his own choice. Unfortunately, contrary to the 3 monster kings' expectations, Xiaohua smiled coldly and ignored them. Instead, he stood there silently and looked at the 3 enormous vortexes of starlight that had already formed in the sky. These 3 vortexes were distributed high up in the sky above Bai Qingyu. They were about 1,000 miles apart from each other and surrounded Xiaohua's golden body in a triangular shape. Right in front of the several 100,000 Fortune Gate disciples' eyes, boom, boom, boom. 3 consecutive thunderous booms sounded as the starlight pillar inside the vortex shone brightly. Along with the starlight pillar was a black and white luster. Then 3 strands of consciousness that were not weaker than Xiaohua's rushed out from the starlight vortex, rushing out in all directions like a flash flood. Following the emergence of these strands of consciousness, one of the vortexes spewed out boundless golden light. This golden light landed in the sky and condensed into a several thousand zhang tall golden phantom. The phantom had a golden crown on its head, and when it spread its wings, boundless starlight rushed out from within. It was the outline of a golden-winged great Peng. The phantom only appeared for a few breaths, but countless golden spots appeared on the phantom again. As if adding the finishing touch, the phantom emitted a dazzling golden light. This golden light was so resplendent that even Xiaohua couldn't help but close his eyes. However, even with his eyes closed, the outline of the golden-winged great Peng was still imprinted in his mind. When Xiaohua opened his eyes again, He saw that the dazzling golden phantom had already turned into a living golden-winged great pung. This golden-winged great pung slightly spread its wings, and the golden light was like the rising sun, shining brightly on the earth. A kind of pressure that could make all living things crawl spread out from this dazzling light. Wherever the dazzling light passed, the lightning in the capital heaven star formation flickered and then disappeared. Tens of thousands of Fortune Gate's disciples fell from the sky. Not only that, but as the dazzling light flashed, the several thousand zhang-tall demonic beast's body rapidly expanded. After countless pillars of starlight fell, it actually expanded to several hundred li, or even 1,000 li. A feeling that was as vast as the heavens came from this golden-winged great peng's demonic beast body, and it made people yearn to look up to a tall mountain. This golden-winged great pung was the #1 great sage in the Thousand Demons' sacred ground. At the same time that the golden-winged great pung revealed itself, another vortex spewed out light blue strands of light. These strands of light were mixed with a thick gray color. After the strands of light surged out, they did not condense into a phantom like the golden light. Instead, they spread out in all directions. In particular, these strands of light crisscrossed like a kind of silk net, covering several hundred li of space in a few breaths' time. When the golden-winged great peng's demonic beast body appeared, the net also emitted a soft gray halo. This halo floated out from the strands of light like fish scales, and the entire space trembled and distorted under this halo. Boom boom boom. Tens of millions of tiny pillars of starlight and moonlight fell from the sky, accurately hitting each of the halos of light. Then a faint blue light suddenly surged out from within the halos of light, and a huge flying feather void beast was revealed, turning into tens of thousands of fragments. When the faint blue light dimmed, the flying feather void beast had completely recovered. A vast aura that was not weaker than the golden-winged great peng's demonic beast body also emerged from its demonic beast body and swept towards the human cultivators in another direction. This flying feather void beast was the third great sage of the Thousand Demons' holy land. A 5-colored halo surged out from the last vortex. Needless to say, this was the 5-colored sea god seashell, the fourth great sage of the Thousand Demons' sacred realm. However, the appearance of the 5-colored sea god seashell was different. The 5-colored halo rushed out from the vortex like a stream of light and quickly landed on a small dot in the sky. When all the halos gathered, the space where the small dot was located began to tremble violently. Indescribable fluctuations rushed out in all directions like a windmill. Similarly, the surrounding several hundred li of this light was filled with pillars of starlight and moonlight. When the golden-winged great peng's golden light appeared, the tens of thousands of small dots began to rotate like a kaleidoscope. Countless halos of light flooded out from the 5-colored light, illuminating the surrounding several hundred li. When the halos of light turned into a huge 5-colored wheel of light, the patterns of a seashell appeared between the light and shadow. A similarly vast aura surged out, and the 5-colored halo withdrew into the seashell, revealing the demonic beast body of the 5-colored sea god seashell. There were a total of 6 great sages in the Thousand Demons' sacred realm. Today, half of the great sages were gathered in by Qingyu. This was something that had never happened in the Thousand Demons' sacred realm before. There was a slight difference in the order in which the 3 great sages appeared, but other than Xiao Hua, the hundreds of thousands of Fortune Gate disciples only saw a flash of light before the 3 great sages' figures appeared. Needless to say, the aura of the great sages of the demonic beast race had already shaken their bodies. Nearly 70% of the disciples had already fallen from the sky. The moment the golden-winged great pung appeared, a proud golden light flashed in his eyes. He looked at the 2 trembling lightning ships in the sky and said, "Did this great sage see wrongly? There are actually humans invading my demonic beast race's sacred realm. And they even flew the battleships to the center of the Thousand Demons' sacred realm? Not only did they invade my demonic beast race's sacred realm, but they also killed my Bai Qingyu's descendants." The 5-colored sea god seashell's words were calm, but his tone was filled with anger. This great sage really doesn't know who gave you humans such courage. Was it immortal Emperor Go-chan or Mahavairakana? Interesting. The flying feather void beast laughed loudly. This great sage has never seen so many high-level Taoist cultivators before. Even the #1 expert of the Taoist Gate, the Grand Mist Ancestor, didn't have so many disciples, right? It's this Xiao. Xiao Hua sneered in his heart when he saw that the three great sages were ignoring him. The first thing they did was to talk about the 200,000 Fortune Gate disciples attacking Bai Qingyu. He knew the three great sages' intentions. His eyes narrowed slightly as he looked at the five-colored sea god seashell and said, "These are my Fortune Gate disciples. They obeyed my orders and came to massacre Bai Qingyu. What about it? Do you have a problem with that?" The five-colored sea god seashell chuckled. As expected of a proud human cultivator, this great sage seems to have seen the grand mist ancestor again. "What's your name?" "This one is Xiao Hua." Xiao Hua pondered for a moment before replying in a neither arrogant nor servile manner. He then looked at the golden-winged great Peng and cupped his fists. "This Xiao only represents myself, not the human race. This time I came to Bai Qingyu to deal with her. I have no intention of troubling the thousand beasts' sacred ground." Although Xiao Hua was furious, he was also furious. He originally wanted to hide behind the scenes to find out the truth, but when he saw Little White Dragon being suppressed and a few of his friends in a desperate situation, he couldn't take it anymore and revealed his true appearance. Once he revealed his true appearance, the truth seemed to stop at what he knew before. Now that the three great sages had appeared, it would be even harder to find the real culprit behind the scenes. However, when he thought about it, Little White Dragon's strength was only at the 5th level, and it was unlikely that the person who wanted to deal with him would be stronger than a beast king. Therefore, Xiao Hua patiently explained. After all, he had massacred the entire Bai Qingyu, and Feng Wu had already become a 7 stars great sage. She might even enter the Great Sage Hall in the future. Xiao Hua didn't want to find trouble for Feng Wu. Unfortunately, Xiao Hua's neither arrogant nor servile attitude was the human race's unique tolerance. In the eyes of the demon race, he was weak. The flying feather void beast glanced at Aniquan, who was imprisoned by Xiao Hua, and didn't help him. He only smiled and said, "Since you're targeting Bai Qingyu, why did you imprison my beast king? You led more than 200,000 humans to the thousand beasts sacred ground. Isn't that trespassing on my beast race?" The five-colored sea god seashell was even more furious. "You're a 9th-level Mahayana cultivator. How can you bully the weak? Moreover, with your cultivation, how can my beast king offend you? Could it be that you've long planned to invade my thousand beasts sacred ground and took this opportunity to come here?" Chapter 4380. The golden-winged great Peng snorted coldly as it spread its glowing golden wings. Waves of ferocious flames covered the sky as it charged towards the tens of thousands of Fortune Gate's disciples. The golden-winged great Peng continued, "No matter what the reason is, anyone who dares to invade my thousand demons' sacred territory and injure my disciples must be killed." Xiao Hua harumphed coldly. He didn't do anything, but the lightning around his golden body suddenly shot out like hundreds of dragons, protecting the tens of thousands of Fortune Gate disciples. Not only did the lightning strike extinguish the ferocious flames, but it also condensed into several dozen zhang-wide lightning balls in the air, spinning inexplicably. "Haha, you really do have some tricks up your sleeve. No wonder you dare to show off in my thousand beast sacred realm." The golden-winged great Peng chortled as the space within a radius of 1,000 kilometers began to crack. "Calm down, holy Peng." The five-colored sea god seashell said in an indifferent voice, "I'd like to ask this human grand ascension stage being what caused him to bully the weak and kill all of my Beijing and Yuer with his hundreds of thousands of disciples. His 200,000 disciples won't be able to escape anyway, and if we force our way in, Immortal Emperor Go Chan and Great Solar will accuse us of bullying him with numbers." "What bullshit nonsense!" The flying feather void beast retorted coldly. "Humans only know how to sow discord and invert yin and yang. What's there to listen to? Holy Bay, if this bloodbath were to take place on my ancient Bell Mountain, how could I say anything to him?" Xiao Hua was already prepared to fight, but his brows furrowed upon hearing the five-colored sea god seashell's words. He pondered for a moment before releasing the 3 demon monarchs, and he said, "Your backers are here, so why don't you tell me what they're talking about? I won't wrong a demon, and I won't let a demon go either. Holy Bay, you have to uphold justice for me." As soon as Bai Qingyu regained her freedom, She immediately flew toward the five-colored sea god seashell as she continued. This human grand ascension stage cultivator is bullying the weak, and he's accusing me of suppressing him. I'm only a puny demon monarch. How could I dare to oppose a human grand ascension stage cultivator? Boys of my pitiful Bai Qingyu died tragically in the hands of his hundreds of thousands of disciples. Damn it! The five-colored sea god shell said angrily. I asked you to tell me the reason. Why are you saying so many useless things? Yes, I was wrong. Bai Qing faltered slightly upon hearing this before hurriedly replying. I encountered a dragon around 100 years ago, and we had some enmity between us, so I imprisoned him. Who would have thought that this dragon would look exactly like this grand ascension stage being of the human race? On top of that, this dragon called himself Xiao Hua of the human race. How would this lowly one know who he is? I only knew that he had offended me by Qingyu, which was why I suppressed him. I didn't care about what he said at all. But who would have thought that 100 years later, when I was holding a banquet in Bai Qingyu and invited the people of Sky-Concealing Ridge and Ancient Bell Mountain to gather, this grand ascension stage human came to my doorstep. Not only did he rescue that dragon, he even used it as leverage to force me to summon that dragon. Otherwise, you will wash my banquet with blood. Think about it, Bei Shang. How could this lowly one be a match for this grand ascension stage human? He rescued that dragon without anyone noticing, so where did this lowly one come from? Isn't this? Bai Qing pointed around with a tentacle as she spoke. Not only did this grand ascension stage human kill my boy, he also killed all of my friends from Sky-Concealing Ridge and Ancient Bell Mountain. This lowly one and these two demon monarchs were almost killed by him as well. Bei Shang and Aisheng Peng Sheng. The three of you have to uphold justice for this lowly one. I, Bai Qingyu, no longer exist in the Thousand Demon Sacred Realm. This is all the doing of the human race. Bai Qing's words were 70% true and 30% false, and she had slightly reversed the cause and effect of this matter. However, it was these changes that had pushed all of the blame onto Xiao Hua and the human race. In the end, it was even suspected that she had instigated a war between the human race and the demon race. Damn it! The golden-winged Great Peng roared 3 times, and his voice shook the surroundings. Amidst the thunderous roar, Xiao Hua's indifferent voice rang out. Don't the three of you want to hear what I have to say? The human race has always been good with words. They can even bring the dead back to life. The flying feather void beast chuckled. This holy beast still believes in the words of the demon race. Let me explain. Before Xiao Hua could say anything, Ao Sheng jumped out from the Fortune Gate's disciples and shouted. The 3 great sages had already seen Ao Sheng, and they couldn't help but frown when they saw him. The flying feather void beast calmly asked, Ao Sheng, are you representing the Dragon Island or yourself? Of course I'm representing myself. Ao Sheng naturally knew what the flying feather void beast was implying, and he said, however, Daoist Xiao is the dragon master of my Dragon Island, and I'm sure the Great Holy Hall has already received a message from my Dragon Island. Bai Qingyu knew that Daoist Xiao was the dragon master of my Dragon Island, but she still suppressed a dragon who looked exactly like Daoist Xiao. Where is the dignity of my Dragon Island? I've always wanted to ask the Beast King Bai Qingyu, do you even have my Dragon Island in your eyes? You don't represent the Dragon Island, and you don't have the right to ask. The 5-colored sea god seashell said indifferently, however, for the sake of the Dragon Island, you can ask. At this point there's no need to ask anymore. Even though Ao Sheng was facing a great sage of the demon race, and he could barely breathe under the pressure of a great sage, he still had his pride. He calmly replied, because I already know the truth. Since An Sheng doesn't believe in the human race, I'll explain it to the 3 great sages. Ao Sheng then explained everything he had learned from Ao Zhantian, as well as how Ao Zhantian had interrogated Shui Mingzi. He then looked at the 3 great sages with a smile and said, 3 great sages, did I make myself clear? Is there anything else you want to ask? Is that so? The 5-colored sea god seashell looked coldly at Bai Qing and asked, all right, Bei Shang. I didn't receive any messages from the Dragon Island, so I naturally didn't know that this Grand Ascension Stage human was the Dragon Master of the Dragon Race. A few days ago, a dragon envoy from the Dragon Island came to pass on the Dragon Palace's message. At the time I was completely baffled, and I hurriedly asked the dragon envoy to identify it. In the end, the dragon envoy said that the dragon I was suppressing wasn't a dragon master, and only then did I heave a sigh of relief. Bai Qing replied with a serious expression, "As for what the dragon envoy said, some of it is true. For example, I did indeed capture that dragon master. As for the rest, it's all just his wild guesses. How could I possibly risk offending the Dragon Island and provoking a rift between the Dragon Island and the Great Sage Hall? Of course, if this Grand Ascension stage human feels that I've offended him, I'm willing to apologize to him." As he spoke, Bai Qing manifested a 5-colored soul from within the seashell. The soul took the form of a human and bowed toward Xiao Hua. "And I shung. This dragon master is exaggerating." Seeing that Xiao Hua was ignoring Bai Qing, I Quan hurriedly said, "I don't know what he's talking about. I was only invited by Bai Qing to attend the banquet. If what he said was not his guess, then it was the despicable things that this lowly once descendant of the human race did. This is also a matter of the human race. It has nothing to do with my ancient Bell Mountain or the Thousand Demons' sacred realm." "Where's your human descendant?" the golden-winged Great Peng asked. "Well," I Quan smiled bitterly, "Peng Sage, I have countless human descendants. Who knows where the human descendant he's talking about is?" "Aosheng, there's no proof. Where's that human?" Peng Sage looked at Aosheng. "I've already killed him." Aosheng replied indifferently, silencing him. Aisheng smiled. "This is a common method used by the human race." "I'm not a human." Aosheng was furious. "I'm a dragon master. You dare to call yourself I in front of this sage?" Peng Sage was furious. "Even Ao Jia wouldn't dare, right?" As he spoke, a golden light flashed in front of Aosheng. Then, a golden claw that was hundreds of feet long grabbed at Aosheng's back. Although it was just a shadow, the space around Aosheng was completely sealed. Aosheng didn't even have the chance to struggle. It was at this moment that the lightning in front of the golden light rumbled. A hand made of lightning appeared and crushed the shackles. Then it grabbed Aosheng and lifted him up into the air, dodging the golden claw. "Damn it!" the golden-winged Great Peng roared again. "Human, it seems like you don't want to return to the hidden immortal continent." "Xiaohua." At this moment, the 5-colored seashell also said coldly, "My clan's demon monarch Bai Qing Yu has already apologized to you. Isn't it time to settle the matter of you killing my Bai Qing Yu boy?" When Xiaohua heard the 3 great sages singing the same tune, he understood that the 3 great sages would definitely side with him. Moreover, as a Mahayana realm cultivator of the human clan, he was a 9th grade origin energy realm cultivator. This was a huge threat in the eyes of the demon clan. Perhaps the 3 great sages had come here today mainly because of him. They didn't care about Bai Qing Yu's matter at all. Their goal was to keep him in the Thousand Demons' sacred realm. Of course, at the very least, they wanted his strength to drop by a realm. Ha ha ha. Thinking of this, Xiaohua looked up to the sky and laughed. There's a saying in the human clan, a powerful dragon can't suppress a snake in its old haunts. Originally, I wanted to give you a proper explanation. Killing Bai Qing Yu's demon clan can be considered as venting the anger in my chest. Since you're not afraid of making a big deal out of it, I'll accompany you to the end. It's just 3 great sages of the demon clan. I really don't care about them." While speaking, Xiaohua suddenly waved his right hand, and the universe in the sleeve technique appeared, instantly enveloping Ni Quan, Bai Qing, and Peng Jun in the air. The 3 great sages were shocked. They didn't expect Xiaohua to suddenly make a move in front of them. Just as they were about to rebuke him, they heard Xiaohua shout, "Fortune Gate disciples, send troops to the ancient Bell Mountain and Heaven-concealing Ridge. First, flatten the ancient Bell Mountain, then destroy Heaven-concealing Ridge. P.S. Thank you for the tip in the WeChat group. Although I didn't receive it, I've received your kind intentions. I remember when Buddha Bodhi attained enlightenment, he said to the heavenly demon Hualu, 'Namo Maitreya Buddha, disciple is praying to Buddha here. I implore Buddha to raise his hand. If it's the Buddha kingdom, it should be returned to the Buddha kingdom. If it's the Buddha kingdom, it should be returned to the heavenly demon.' Perhaps Jianjian's kind intentions are what the 3rd place candidate needs the most. I thank you for this. Now that I think about it, sometimes human nature can't be tested. Also, everyone worked hard to guess the questions last night. I thank you for this chapter. Of course, there are also many fellow Taoists who supported me, such as habit and nature. Chapter 4381. Yes, flatten the ancient Bell Mountain and annihilate the sky-concealing ridge. The group of Fortune Gate disciples roared. Although their voices were weak, their momentum was unstoppable. Kill! The flying feather void beast was enraged. Without waiting for the golden-winged Great Peng to say anything, it flapped its wings. In the next second, 1,000 li of space around Xiaohua was torn apart, and a spatial storm swept towards Xiaohua. At the same time, it also attacked the Fortune Gate disciples nearby. If others don't bully me, I won't bully others. If others bully me, I will exterminate them. Xiaohua smiled faintly and the Kunlun mirror appeared in his hand. A pillar of light shot into the sky as Wenchu flew over. As his true energy turned into pearls that filled the sky, the spatial cracks within 1,000 li were instantly mended. A group of Fortune Gate disciples flew away from the Rhone Gate. You are... The flying feather void beast was shocked when it saw Wenchu fly out. Which immortal palace's literary star are you? This Wenchu is not a literary star. And this immortal realm is not an immortal palace. Wenchu replied indifferently. This little one is Wenchu. I like to help when I see injustice, and I hate people who distort right and wrong. Since the great sage of the Great Sage Hall is slandering fellow Taoist Xiao, then this little one has no choice but to help. This little one will fight with you. As he spoke, a boundless pillar of noble qi descended from the sky. Wenchu had activated his subbody, and it also grew to several tens of thousands of feet tall. He waved his right hand in the air, and a ray of sword light descended like a river towards the flying feather void beast. Damn it! When did so many 9th grade origin qi masters appear in the human race? The flying feather void beast sensed the sharpness of the sword light and cursed. It flapped its wings and disappeared into the void, while its sharp claws slapped the air. Rumble! The space rumbled like the sea, and layers of spatial cracks formed into waves of qi that rushed towards Wenchu. Pa pa pa. The spatial cracks like a snowstorm drowned the sword light, and the entire sky was filled with the sound of spatial explosions. When the sword light destroyed the spatial cracks, it also destroyed itself. Every time the sword light and spatial crack was destroyed, it would create waves of qi that covered the sky and earth, surging everywhere within 1,000 li. What a powerful aura! Wenchu narrowed his eyes and said coldly, You are indeed a great sage of the demon clan. Even though the space crack had been destroyed, the sword light was still surging towards him. However, so what if he's a great saint? My heart is magnanimous, and I use my will to communicate with the heavens and earth. My sword is traceless, and I use justice to destroy evil. Wenchu's voice was like the hum of a sword. He waved the sword in his hand 3 times, and countless pillars of energy fell from the void. Along with the sword energy, they sealed the space within hundreds of miles. As the sword energy soared into the sky, Jiaming and Wenchu's poems and essays released a righteous song that shook the heavens and earth. This sword of justice carried the boundless righteousness of literature as it pounced towards the flying feather void beast. Ka-cha-cha, ka-cha-cha. The roaring space qi exploded and collided with the sword hair seal. At the same time, the space cracks were torn apart, and the poem condensed by the inscription armor was also hit by the space force. It turned into a stroke and disappeared in the air. Humph, you are indeed a human Confucian cultivator. This is the first time this saint has seen such loyalty. The flying feather void beast's voice rang out in the void, and the arrogance in its voice had lessened by 30%. Clearly, this trial strike had allowed it to see that Wenchu's strength was on par with its. When Wenchu heard the flying feather void beast's voice, he clenched his right hand into a fist and punched the void without hesitation. This fist wasn't simple at all. Where the fist landed, the fragile space was torn apart once more. Countless pillars of vast energy rushed into the fist through the cracks. It was only a distance of 100 miles, so the fist arrived in a flash. In the blink of an eye, the fist had transformed from 100 feet in size to a meteor-like object. Boom! With a loud bang, the space dozens of miles in size was shattered by Wenchu's punch. As the space cracks spread, circles of space collapsed, and Wenchu's fist punched deeply into the void. Haha! The flying feather void beast's voice rang out again behind Wenchu. Its laughter was full of mockery. Human, who do you think you are facing? How can this kind of attack be a match for this saint? Wen Chu smiled and withdrew his fist. He glanced around with bright eyes. He knew that this flying feather void beast was proficient in spatial arts. Although it didn't release its domain, it could move freely in this space. If Wen Chu didn't have any other means, he could only use his domain to suck it in. Only then would he have a way to deal with it. But the other party was a great saint of the demon race. In terms of strength, it was only stronger than him, and it was also proficient in spatial magic. It was unlikely that he could suck it into his space. He could only think of other ways. Wen Chu thought for a moment and opened his mouth to recite, Zhao Ke's beard tassels, Wu Go's frost and snow, silver saddle on white horse, valiant as a meteor. As the poem was recited, countless pillars of Aoran Qi fell from the inscriptions on the armor. Then the figure of a knight on a white horse appeared in the sky. The white horse galloped, and the sound of the horse's hooves was very clear in the sky. Oh my God, you really scared this saint. The flying feather void beast was about to burst out laughing in the void. He shouted, you actually used such a method to fight this saint? Do you think this is a game for you humans? As he spoke, the nearby space rippled again. Space bubbles big enough to collapse mountains rushed out of the void and rushed toward the white horse. The sound of the white horse's hooves was still crisp, and it was still calm. No matter how the bubbles burst, the saint easily steered the white horse to avoid them. Although the airwaves blew the saint's clothes askew, the saint's eyes were as tenacious as Wen Chu's. The flying feather void beast suddenly had a bad feeling. Although the knight on the white horse was just charging straight ahead, he always felt that the knight on the white horse's eyes were locked on him. A kind of fear that he had never faced before gradually approached his heart. Damn it! The flying feather void beast muttered in a low voice. As its feathers swayed, a spatial storm dozens of miles away was set off, and it fiercely rushed toward the saint. At this point, the flying feather void beast no longer dared to treat the saint as a battle puppet. Haha, killing one in 10 steps, leaving no trace for 1,000 miles. When the deed is done, leave with a flick of your sleeves, hide your identity and reputation. Wen Chu saw the flying feather void beast attack, and as he chanted, the flying sword in his hand slashed down again. The sword light was different from before. The sword light illuminated the night sky, and it split into countless sword hairs, each one sharp and unshakable. When the sword hairs fell on the spatial storm, all of the spatial cracks were split in half. There was no exception. What surprised the flying feather void beast the most was that the sword hairs, which were originally split up, suddenly flew up again after the spatial storm was suppressed, and suddenly pierced into the void. Oh! The flying feather void beast was a little stunned. What's going on? But a moment later, the flying feather void beast came to its senses and laughed loudly. Its laughter echoed in the air, and it was impossible to find its specific location. The human race is really cunning. I was just trying to lure this saint into a trap, but you actually went so far. Just when the flying feather void beast thought that it had seen through Wen Chu's trick, the knight on the white horse suddenly turned around and pulled out a bright sword from his back. He then slashed down at a place below him. The flying feather and eye void beast was shocked. Wasn't the place where he was hiding? Just as the flying feather void beast was shocked, Wen Chu raised his hand and slapped the top of his head. Boom! A stream of Xiantian true qi spewed out, and the heaven and earth pagoda appeared in the clouds. The heaven and earth pagoda appeared in the sky, and immediately emitted a bright brilliance. This brilliance scattered all over the space where the flying feather void beast was hiding. Along with this brilliance, countless streams of noble qi fell, and quickly condensed in the space within 1,000 miles. An unparalleled wave of true qi came from the heaven and earth pagoda, and at the top of the space a blue sea-like sky was born, completely covering the space. Below the space a wasteland like earth was also born, echoing the sky and confining the entire space. When this confinement was born, a wave of ripples swept down from the sky to the ground, and the flying feather void beast's figure was revealed behind this ripple. Until now, the flying feather void beast's face was still full of disbelief. He really couldn't believe that Wen Chu could actually identify his tracks with the saint on a white horse. Eat my sword! Wen Chu didn't give the flying feather void beast too much time. As soon as his figure appeared, He immediately released the flying sword that had been accumulating power for a long time. Boom! The flying sword fell like a meteor, dragging a dazzling brilliance behind it as it pierced towards the flying feather void beast. The huge roar was deafening even under the suppression of the heaven and earth pagoda. The flying feather in ice space beast snorted coldly. It twisted its body, and the tail on its back smashed through the air. The huge shadow was like a mountain range. Even the heaven and earth pagoda above the flying feather in ice space beast's head trembled slightly when the shadow moved. Clang! The flying sword hit the flying feather void beast's tail, and tens of thousands of sparks flew. At the same time that Wen Chu's flying sword was sent flying, more than 10 cracks appeared on the flying feather void beast's tail. There was still a lot of sword chi between these cracks, which was madly worshipping the demon runes around the flying feather void beast, wanting to rush into its body. Seeing that the flying sword was ineffective, Wen Chu's figure flashed, and he turned into a stream of light and rushed up. As he waved his fists, the noble chi pillar fell again, and along with Wen Chu's fist, rushed towards the flying feather void beast. Aha, human, you're too bold. You actually dare to compete with the great saint of the demon race? The flying feather void beast laughed loudly, spread its wings and also waved its front claws to meet Wen Chu. Although the nearby space was sealed by the heaven and earth pagoda, a star mark appeared on the flying feather void beast's chest. Endless power of the stars and moon came from that star mark and rushed towards Wen Chu, its power no less than Wen Chu's. Chapter 4382. Boom boom boom. Wen Chu and the flying feather void beast clashed in close combat. Shockwaves that could destroy a mountain peak surged out one after another, tearing apart the space within several thousand miles. However, the shattered space quickly recovered under the suppression of the heaven and earth pagoda. Putting aside the fact that Wen Chu was fighting the flying feather void beast, the two 9th grade essence power great masters were evenly matched. Just the fact that as Wen Chu flew out, the golden-winged great rock's sharp eyes had already clearly seen the true form of Xiao Hua's transcendent artifact. He sneered, Kunlun mirror? No wonder you could bring several 100,000 disciples to Bai Qingyu. So you have this treasure. After saying that, the golden-winged great Peng's gaze turned towards the 5-colored sea god seashell. Although they were several hundred miles apart, the 5-colored sea god seashell could clearly see the golden-winged great Peng's gaze. 9th grade cultivators of the 3 continents were the foundation of the confrontation between the various forces. Just like how the Fortune Gate's 200,000 nascent Soul Realm disciples had attacked Bai Qingyu. Although Bai Qingyu's demonic beast clan was completely annihilated, as long as the 5-colored sea god seashell appeared, these 200,000 nascent Soul Realm disciples were nothing but dust. Only Xiao Hua, who was a 9th grade cultivator, was a match for the 5-colored sea god seashell. The sudden appearance of a Grand Ascension stage cultivator like Xiao Hua had already shocked the golden-winged great Peng. Now Xiao Hua's Kunlun mirror actually flew out of the 5-colored sea god seashell. In an instant, the balance between the human and demonic beast clans was broken. Although the 2 great sages of the demonic beast clans didn't take Bai Qingyu's matter seriously, the matter between the human and demonic beast clans didn't allow them to have other thoughts. They only had killing intent in their hearts. Almost without hesitation, the 5-colored sea god seashell sneered. Cunning human, hurry up and release my clan's juniors, or don't blame this great sage for being impolite. Xiao Hua, how did my clan's juniors offend you? How dare you capture them in front of this great sage? Hurry up and release them, or don't blame this great sage for taking action. The golden-winged great Peng also scolded. Xiao Hua had ordered more than 200,000 Fortune Gate disciples to flatten the sky-concealing ridge in ancient Bell Mountain, and the only taboo was the 3 demonic beast kings. How could he release them? When he heard the 2 great sages' words, he laughed loudly. When did the demonic beast clan learn how to hide? Don't you just want to join forces to kill this Xiao? Why are you saying so many sanctimonious things? Kill! The 5-colored sea god seashell roared furiously. 5 colors blossomed around its body like fireworks, and the brilliance that covered 1,000 miles rushed towards Xiao Hua. Boom! Xiao Hua pretended to shake the Kunlun mirror, and another pillar of light shot up into the sky. A figure flashing with green light flew out with an emerald soul armament in his hand. It was Daoist Wu. Daoist which landed in mid-air. and his soul strands flickered inexplicably. Countless ghost-like wails and wolf-like howls came from the void. As the sound became louder and louder, Taoist Witch's body also expanded by 1,000 feet. In the end, he was hundreds of miles in size, like a five-colored seashell. You. The five-colored sea god seashell said, "You," 3 times in a row, but in the end it couldn't reveal Taoist Witch's origin. Because even with the five-colored sea god seashell's great sage ability, it couldn't tell whether Taoist Witch was a human or a demonic beast. Taoist Witch's eyes were dark green, and his face was also formed by soul strands. The five-colored sea god seashell could only see boundless primordial strange scenes on his face, and couldn't see his true appearance at all. Taoist Witch cupped his hands and said, "I am a shaman." See? Hearing the word shaman, not only the five-colored sea god seashell, but even the golden-winged great Pong sucked in a breath of cold air. An ancient memory and the ancient records of the great sage hall rushed into their minds. However, in just a moment, the five-colored halo around the five-colored sea god seashell calmed down, and it said coldly, "You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. How dare you call yourself a shaman? Today I'll teach you a lesson." Haha. Taoist Witch was so angry that he laughed. He waved the subbrush in his hand, and in his laughter countless green seal characters surged out and turned into 3 corpses in thunder that roared within 1,000 miles. He said, "You're just a great sage of the demon clan, and you haven't even taken off your shell. How dare you boast so shamelessly? I was born in heaven and earth, and I obtained Tao from heaven and earth. I'm a shaman. How can you not know this? You don't even have Dharma eyes. How can you see I's origin?" Damn it, damn it. The five-colored sea god seashell had always been proud of its monster body. It had never heard someone mocking it like this before. With a furious roar, the unbelievably huge seashell spread out in the sky, covering the sun and moon. The five-colored halo even shrouded everything within 1,000 miles. Without giving Taoist Witch any chance to struggle, the seashell immediately grabbed him and dragged him into its five-colored domain. Within the five-colored domain, all the essence of heaven and earth was imprisoned. All the spiritual power and true chi that belonged to the 5 elements were subdued. Apart from the faint halo that still gave off a dreamlike grandeur, Taoist Witch's voice sounded erratic. Taoist Witch had a faint smile on his face as he watched the five-colored light fill his body. The light flashed with inexplicable patterns. Then he opened his mouth and hundreds of green seal characters flew out. Once the green seal characters flew out, they immediately screamed. The sound was distorted in the domain, but the power of gods and ghosts completely ignored the five-colored domain. The green seal characters quickly combined and evolved in the domain until they turned into a huge green seal character. The moment the green seal character appeared, the entire five-colored domain began to shake violently. Streaks of dark green lightning appeared strangely and spread in all directions. The extreme dark green lightning was even brighter than the 5 colors of the domain. The extreme shaking was even more violent than normal lightning. Wherever the lightning went, the 5-colored domain's light was wiped out and the space's imprisonment collapsed. Strands of essence of heaven and earth slowly entered the domain. Damn it, how could this be? In the 5-colored sky, the voice of the 5-colored sea god shell was like that of a god, echoing everywhere within 1,000 miles. Then, in the places where the lightning hadn't reached yet, all the 5-colored illusions appeared. They were waves, mountains, members of the Sea Clan, and even the Sea Clan. These illusions made all kinds of noises and rushed towards the lightning from all directions. Rumble. The entire domain began to shake and layers of bubble-like holes spread in all directions. Wherever the holes went, the 5-colored lights and the lightning were all sucked in and annihilated. Haha. Taoist Witch looked up and laughed. He opened his mouth and spat out hundreds of green seal characters. Waves of mysterious sounds rang out and more 3 corpses in thunder appeared out of thin air. Whoosh! Seeing that Taoist Witch's 3 corpses in thunder wasn't part of the 5 elements and that his 5-colored halo couldn't destroy it, the 5-colored sea god Bei Tong also sneered. However, he saw a spike protruding from Taoist Witch's back and stabbing towards Taoist Witch's back without any sound. However, when the spike was 10 feet away from Taoist Witch, his body suddenly shook and his back turned into his chest. Taoist Witch raised his hand and the subbrush touched the tip of the spike. Whoosh! It seemed like water, like flowers blooming, or even like the exuberance of spring. A tiny green dot came out of the spike. Although the dot was tiny, it was as majestic as a world. In the five-colored sea god seashell's domain, the almost omnipotent spike couldn't move it. The spike made a roaring sound and couldn't move an inch forward no matter what. The green color even started to spread again and corrode the depths of the spike. The spike had no choice but to use its five-colored light to fight against it. Damn it, I don't believe it. Within this saint's domain, this saint can't do anything to you. The five-colored sea god shell seemed to have never been defeated like this before. It roared angrily and no longer cared about the realm that was destroyed by the three corpses' dark thunder at the edge of the space. Instead, tens of millions of spikes appeared around Taoist Witch. These spikes were of different sizes and length. Each spike carried a five-colored halo and the will of the five-colored sea god shell. They all pierced towards Taoist Witch's Dharmakaya. Green light flashed in Taoist Witch's eyes and he saw the tens of millions of spikes. The tip of each spike had the hideous smile of the five-colored sea god seashell. Each spike was a clone of the five-colored sea god seashell. Taoist Witch knew that if he was stabbed by the spike, his body would be destroyed by the five-colored light, and his will would be controlled by the will of the five-colored sea god seashell. However, the green light in Taoist Witch's eyes flashed with a hint of mockery. He really wanted to know how the five-colored Neptune shell would feel if it found out that he was just a clone of Xiao Hua when it rushed into his mind. However, this was merely a thought in Taoist Witch's mind. Taoist Witch was different from when he left the three continents. The essence of his physical body was sufficient, and was even 100 times stronger than ordinary cultivators. He had become an independent individual. He couldn't take a huge risk and take an unconventional approach. After all, he had many methods to deal with the great saint of the demon race. Taoist Witch closed his eyes slightly. Boom! Green seal scripts appeared on the surface of his body and spun. They left his body and condensed into a huge light shadow a few miles to the left of Taoist Witch. This light shadow wasn't a magic array or a human. It was the image of God Shibai with a human head and a beast's body and two green snakes on his ears. This light shadow rippled slightly on the surface of Taoist Witch's body, and then retracted. As the light shadow fell on the surface of Taoist Witch's body, Taoist Witch's human form transformed into God Shibai. At this moment, tens of millions of spikes had already landed on Taoist Witch's body. What puzzled the five-colored sea god seashell was that Taoist Witch didn't have any way to defend himself. He just let the spikes get close to him. A strange feeling suddenly arose in the five-colored sea god seashell's heart. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.